We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach and the bench deep. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Found guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape. The tape.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. The
Shut up
tape.
and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Brock Bowers and Taylor Swift took a picture yesterday together.
Yeah, apparently Brock Bowers' favorite Taylor Swift song is Love Story. I found that out yesterday.
That's a good one to have, honestly.
By the way, Tight End U was putting in that work. Did you see how freaking soaked in sweat those dudes were on those viral videos? Dude. Holy crap.
Have you been outside?
I mean, I have.
Yeah, dude, I get punched in the face by the heat every time I go outside.
I get licked by the humidity every time I walk outside right
you
about
get licked?
now. I mean, I feel like the atmosphere is licking you right about now with a hot tongue.
You could probably file a lawsuit for that.
Maybe. It feels like harassment.
I
feel like I'm being harassed when I walk outside right about now.
No doubt.
Yeah. Welcome in. We got a loaded show for you guys tonight, as always. We got a saying around here when it comes time to Thursday. When Thursday comes rolling around, last show, best show. We got a great one for you. Lee Corso making the show notes tonight, or at least an extension of Lee Corso making the show notes tonight. We've got one of college football, or rather week one of college football is going to be absolutely nuts, and we're excited to get into a little bit of a preview on that one tonight. Not from a game standpoint, but from a reaction from those games standpoint. We'll talk about that tonight. And I am super excited for a debut of a brand new segment. Boys, this is the first time in my life I've ever been excited for 110s, but I'm excited for 110s tonight. And if you're a football lover, if you're a born football guy that didn't play at maybe a lesser than program, you know what a 110 is, okay? You definitely know what a 110 is, and we're going to bring you 110s tonight. But I want to start tonight's show by asking you to hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. But we like to start the show around here with today's news, right? And today's news is that Dan Lanning, after missing on Jared Curtis and missing on Ryder Lyons yesterday, got Bryson Beaver into the commitment class today. Lanning landed the Beaver to the Ducks. about that?
Oh, a little play on words.
A little play on words. Bryson Beaver, good football player, ranked as a 3-star high school prospect right now, wherever rankings you read, probably what he's rated at. He'll end up being a 4-star, not only because he committed to Oregon today, but also because he had a really, really good performance at the Elite 11 out there this past week. So I got my eyes on him. About 6'2 and a half, about 190 pounds, super accurate football player, one of these high-floor quarterbacks that we talk about going out to the Elite 11 quite often, okay? This is a California kid that will be making his way to Oregon. A little bit of an upgrade from, I believe, Boise State, where he was originally committed, now going to be an Oregon Duck. Guys, this is obviously the third choice for Oregon, or third target, if you will. Number one target on the board for those guys in this class was Jared Curtis. He ends up at Georgia, or at least we expect him to sign at Georgia. Ryder Lyons was their backup plan, if you will, and one that they were immediately on and forecasted for right after missing on Jared Curtis. He ends up going to BYU, and now they land Ryder Lyons.
I think it might even be their fourth, because they had the Jonas Williams guy
That's
committed, right?
Jonas Williams was committed before flipping to USC. So that's a solid point right there, Jay Will.
They've kind of gone through the revolving door of quarterbacks in this class. But I think it's also worth noting that, they went all in, or what it felt like they went all in on Jared Curtis, battling Georgia for that final 2 cut down, and Georgia ultimately wins that one out. And typically in those situations, it's kind of hard for a program to battle back in a quarterback class, because this is a position that we talk about where schools really set their sights on certain prospects very early on in the process, and a lead starts to build very quickly on those guys. So the fact that Oregon was even able to battle back in multiple recruitments at this point, be involved in multiple 5-star recruitments at this point as well, the fact that they even got one in this class, I think is honestly commendable.
Yeah, you can look at this 2 ways if you're an Oregon fan. One, it took us 3 or 4 swings to finally get a quarterback in this class. That's not great. We're Oregon. We should be getting the top-ranked guys, especially with the funds that we have available in this NIL era. Or you can look at it as, okay, we had 3 or 4 misses, but we were able to still get a quarterback in this class. And not just a quarterback, not just a warm body, a guy that's actually formidable and could play for you one day. So there's a silver lining to it if you're Oregon.
So
obviously,
this puts Oregon to 10 commits?
Yes.
Is that correct?
10 or 11.
10 or 11, but considerably low. And
yes.
Now, they're a football program that, when we've talked about it ad nauseum, if you're an Oregon fan listening to this, you'll recognize their strategy. They're about half and half high school kids to transfer prospects, right? Guys that they bring in and expect to play. That's kind of what they do. They do about a 14-14 strategy, about 50-50 with regards to new player additions to this roster. I guess my question, because I think it's only fair, if last week we were sitting on this show asking questions about Tennessee's recruiting at this point in the year, I think it's a safe question to say, is it time to maybe worry about what's going on in Oregon? Because they are certainly missing on top prospects. And it didn't just happen at quarterback either. They missed out on Jackson Cantwell. Obviously, pretty good secondary prize right there if you're going to end up landing Emmanuel Iheanacho, which everyone expects them to do. But they've missed on some guys. Now, I guess the question becomes, at what point do you start to worry about Oregon recruiting, and have we reached that point?
Well, I think that Dan Lanning has put a lot of effort into getting recruits from the transfer portal. We've seen that time and time again. And honestly, a lot of his best names to play under the Oregon era of Dan Lanning have come out of the transfer portal. So I would say once you start seeing that portal talent decline, that's when you go, okay, red flags here. I think we talked about it. It's only like 14 to 15 true high school recruits. So they're on pace to do that. Now, swinging and missing more than they're usually used to is not great, but I don't think it's time to start ringing panic bells.
What about you, Jay Will?
I wouldn't say that it's really something that you have to necessarily worry about, because, like I mentioned, it hasn't been from a lack of – now, it'd be one thing if it was like Jared Curtis cuts his list down and it's Georgia and South Carolina, and Emmanuel Iheanacho, they're no longer in the mix for him, and they're just like straight up missing on these guys, not even getting close to closing the door on them. And I think that there's a world where the Ryder Lyons commitment goes elsewhere in a certain scenario, or maybe he even ultimately ends up with Oregon by the end of his career. Not to go ahead and put a kid in the transfer portal, but I'm just saying that, I mean, there's a lot of world of opportunities out there with the transfer portal being available and knowing what Oregon's history is with the portal.
So we're going on year 4 with landing at Oregon, and we're going on class 5. Is that correct?
Yes.
Year 4, class 4. Let's call it that.
Yeah, I mean,
let's call it that. Year 4, class 4. You normally get hired off season. We don't count that first recruiting class around here. So year 4, class number 4. My question to you guys here on the stage and to you guys here in the chat today, who is the best high school football player that Dan Lanning has signed and developed at Oregon? Because I have one answer. It's Mateo Uiagalelei. I think that is the best. He's a junior right now at Oregon, so that's what you're looking at. The juniors / redshirt sophomores at Oregon right now. Those are the ones that Dan Lanning signed. Who is the best football player that he has recruited and signed?
I mean, your answer is better than mine. I was going to go Jordan James.
Who was a 7th-round pick last year?
I think so, yeah.
And that was his first class out there. It was the first back he flipped from Georgia or won out over Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, it's the proof of concept hasn't been great as far as developing and getting high school recruits. But
defensively, it's been okay. Defensively, it's been okay. If you look at their starting projected depth chart this year, they go about 8 for 11 with regards to starters who very clearly Dan Lanning signed and developed at Oregon. All right, 3 transfers scattered across the defense, a DB, an edge rusher here and there, a defensive tackle, whatever it is. On the offensive side of the football, however, it is nothing but transfers. Quarterback transferred in there, running back transferred in there, 4 of 5 offensive linemen transferred in there, 3 of 5 wide receivers transferred in there. So I guess it's good news for Oregon that Dan has been, I'm not going to say lights out, but Dan has been very, very good about the selection process of his defensive prospects, something that he's very, very well accustomed to knowing. Offensively, though, they're banking on Dakarian Moore big time this year, but outside of that, he has not really signed and developed an offensive talent yet.
I mean, it's very akin to what Deion Sanders does. Not as extreme. Like Deion straight up almost punts on high school recruiting classes, but it's kind of similar to that in the sense of where Deion, like at Colorado right now, like they're kind of banking on Julian Lewis to be this aspiring prospect for them. And that's like their one high school prospect that they're kind of focusing on. For Oregon, it's Dakarian Moore, and it's a bunch of transfer portal kids that they're kind of hoping gels together and really makes them one of the best teams in the Big Ten this year.
Now, I will say the counterpoint to this is, yes, the development of high school talent hasn't been there, but if you continuously develop transfer portal talent at that rate, is it as important that you're not signing high schoolers? Like, he took a Bo Nix, who for 3 years was wildly inconsistent, kind of a laughingstock of the SEC, and turned him into the most accurate passer in the nation in a first-round draft pick. Like, that's development. Now, wasn't high school recruitment development, but Bo Nix certainly got developed at Oregon.
With 2 coordinators, by the way.
Exactly. So,
and I think that's a good thing to point out is, like, when he takes Bo Nix, when he takes Jordan Birch, when he takes Evan Stewart, like, these aren't one-and-done transfer kids. These are guys that are going to Oregon to play multiple years.
yes.
So that is somewhat of a solid point right there, or at least a strategy of his that is apparent and obvious. We're getting to the point now where it's like, dude, you've had top 10 classes every year that you've been there. And when I look on your R-Lads and when I look on your depth chart, like you're pulling strings in the portal every single year to fill gaps, and that shouldn't be the case. When I applaud you for being blue chip transfer, like that's what you do. You sign blue chips and you sign transfers. Well, what if you're only signing blue chips defensively and the offensive blue chippers are just highly rated kids that don't pan out? That's not a good strategy for ultimate success. Now, all that being said, none of it matters if he wins 1 playoff game. That's the bar right now for Dan Lanning. No matter what you do, no matter what your roster looks like, 11-1, get to a playoff, win 1 game, and then you've checked the box. Everyone solidifies you. There's no more questions about you until, are you good enough to win a title? That's a whole nother category, though, of coaching doubt.
Yeah, I mean, the real concerns come when you start seeing it dip off in production. And look, they went 12-0 last year. They won the Big Ten in their first year in the conference, and they had 1 bad game against Ohio State that ultimately embarrassingly ended their season. But they've progressively gotten better on the field as Dan Lanning's there.
Yes.
Recruiting and talent-wise development, you could question that and say, hey, what's going on here? But as long as the product on field stays the same,
I mean, honestly, Mario Cristobal didn't recruit terribly during his time at Oregon.
Well, I was just going to point out, I mean, heck, if you take it from his very first game coaching against Georgia, like you saw how far the gap was from this is a national title winner and this is where Oregon is at right now. The fact that he's done that within 3 years now, he's gotten to a playoff, won the Big Ten. I mean, that would show signs of development, or at least doing the right process for that program.
Guys, we got like 10% of our offense that we recruited right now at Oregon.
It's
and that 10% is Dakarian Moore, a freshman. So it's just interesting to me, man. I mean, like, whether or not that's going to continue to pan out year over year. Like, eventually, you got to have a great player for 3 years.
And as much as, like, as much as we say Oregon is a shoo-in for the playoff, and they're shoo-in because of schedule and because of what we know Dan Lanning is capable of, we stumble into plenty of questions about this roster and what they're heading into this year.
Yep. All right, that is our opening segment for the night. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and review. And we're going to continue our 2025 kind of lead into the season with the top 5 questions entering 2025. Obviously, we just laid out several questions for Oregon. What are some of your biggest questions going into the season? We don't necessarily have to do this in a top 5 order, or we can rip them off.
Just rip them off.
Let's just rip them off. 5-1 for yours truly. Number 5, okay? Now, I don't doubt they're going to be in the playoff picture because of the nature of college football nowadays and their head coach. My question is, do they revert back to the old ways? And it's Notre Dame for me, okay? I think Notre Dame has the roster put together to be potentially a college football playoff team. I think their fan base probably expects or has that as an expectation. My question is Notre Dame the same, we're going to beat you in a tight game, potentially we're a worthy opponent, college football playoff team? Or are they going to revert back to the college football playoff teams of Notre Dame's lore and past years where, yeah, you get in, but you finna get your brakes beat off of you in this college football playoff? I think there is a likelihood, guys, that they might return back to that. Yeah, they're a 10-2 team worthy of a college football playoff to get beat by 30. Like, there's a lot of questions about Notre Dame's entire roster apart from offensive line and Jeremiah Love. Apart from that, I got a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of got a glimpse of what a Notre Dame team without Jeremiah Love looks like, and it wasn't fantastic. I mean, they still won football games with an unhealthy Jeremiah Love. So you're kind of banking on him staying healthy, and you're going to have to kind of utilize him more than you did last year because you don't have Riley Leonard to take away run game snaps for you and other things. So it's going to be interesting to follow that.
By the way, after my 5, make sure we get to these Super Chubs. Number 4, will an SEC job finally open?
Yes.
First time in my life we went a calendar year with nobody being fired. I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that somebody's getting shit canned this year.
It seems like because like you would have to think that between Arkansas, potentially Florida, even Oklahoma to an extent, like Mississippi State maybe, Kentucky, all 5 of those.
Arkansas in there?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
All 5 of those programs aren't going to exceed expectations or meet whatever expectation bar has been set for them. There's going to be somebody that stumbles behind.
And we said it last year at the start of this time, with the 12-team playoff being its first year and no one having any clue what rev share and the House versus NCAA so it's going to come up of. Teams were kind of holding and Oklahoma and Texas joining. Like, there was so much overturn in the conference alone that teams are kind of just like, wait, let's see what happens here before we get rid of the coach and start something new.
It's such a great point. The foundation of the sport was so rocky. The last thing you want to do is remove the foundation of your program in the midst of that. Number 3 for me is this as open of a sport as I think it is. Like, going into this year more so than ever before in my lifetime, I have no earthly idea who's going to win a national title. I have no earthly idea who's going to be a dominant football team this year. And matter of fact, on paper, I don't see one apart from maybe what Clemson's going to do to the ACC this year, or at least what I think they're going to do to the ACC this year. But when they get into a playoff in December and January, they might not look like that. You know what I mean? So I think this sport is far more open than it ever has been before, and I'm looking to see if that is ultimately confirmed during the year. Number 2, will the coordinators matter in Columbus, Ohio this year? Got 2, not one, got 2 brand new coordinators up there at Ohio State. One guy who's called plays before defensively but never done it in the college ranks on the defensive side of the football, Matt Patricia. And on the offensive side of the football, obviously, wide receivers coach, who I'm Brian
Hartline.
I wanted to say Harsin.
Oof, not Brian Harsin.
No, not Brian Harsin. Brian Harsin, offensive coordinator at Cal, running folks off of that roster. Brian Hartline, the offensive coordinator, we'll see if it works out there. That's one of my biggest questions going into the year. Number 1 for me, who the hell is catching passes at Penn State?
That is an interesting question. We might
that
get to that later.
We might.
I had one of the same questions as you. I said, is the title really as wide open as I think it is? And I think that one thing that's kind of interesting about this season as opposed to others is even if we weren't for sure certain about some of the other like national title contenders in previous seasons, there was always a brand that you really just leaned on. Like there was always Alabama, Nick Saban that you kind of could just plug in and say, oh, yeah, they're contenders this year, or Georgia had their run there for a little bit, like Ohio State. Like none of those teams are really just being plugged in as like, it's them.
First name?
Brado 902.
How do you spell that?
BRADO
I believe it might be on the board already.
962.
902.
Well, it looks close enough to a 0.
Then we have Joe Skinner.
That boy Joe Skinner. We need new Sharpies, boys.
And then some broke guy named Austin Mixon only donated $2. That doesn't get you on the board, Austin.
It's about the ad impressions he brought in last month.
Holy shit. From the top row. Good Lord.
He'll appreciate that. He appreciates good humor. He's a good man.
Jeez. Did you finish your 5 or?
Oh no, I was more so tallying on that. I agree with Brooks of saying like I really do want to know if it's as wide open as I think. The first one I had on my list is who is competing with Clemson in the ACC, because I think we have some candidates that we could draw up, but it's really just kind of banking on what happened last year, and these teams are having relatively new pieces added in. But outside of Kevin Jennings with SMU,
How dare you?
There's some
Thomas
moving-
Castellanos got a squad.
He does.
How dare you?
I'll let you be
How
the
dare
one.
this guy?
I'll let you be the one to dub that. And then like Louisville, they were successful last year. They gave Clemson they handed Clemson a loss last year, but you have Miller Moss moving in at quarterback. So
Is he coming? Is he going to be good?
I don't know.
You already know when he shows up at my place, we're going to whisper the greatness to him.
We'll see. We shall see about Miller Moss at Louisville this year.
That's what it's going to be.
Oh, Waterboy quote. I like that. Who do I trust the most in the Big Ten? I got to thinking about this today. Between Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State, I don't want to trust either one of those programs right now to go out there and say right now they're going to win the Big Ten this year. Ohio State has a bit of a quarterback controversy going on. Still don't know who their starter is going to be. Penn State, it's the same questions we've been asking all along about Drew Aller and the rest of that roster. And Oregon, we just got done with them. I can't sit here today and say this team is the biggest favorite to win the Big Ten right now. I think of those three, feels like a bit of a crapshoot. Then I have will a fresh name enter contention in the SEC this year? Between people are hyping up Florida this year, people are hyping up South Carolina going into this year. Maybe Texas A&M can make something happen. Is Oklahoma finally going to make something shake this year? They got John Mateer coming in and Ben Arbuckle. But is one of those teams actually going to be moving into contention, or is it just going to be the same old story of it's Georgia, it's Alabama, it's LSU, Tennessee might stay in the college football playoff contention? Like, is it just going to be the same old teams, or is someone actually going to enter contention and shake things up?
Parity. Was that number 5 for you?
It was.
All right. My first question is, does someone create a gap in the Big 12? Arizona State won the Big 12 last year, and they were pretty handled the championship fine, but all throughout that season it was a crapshoot. And this team had to lose so that team could win, for that team to get to – we talked about it. It is the most wide-open conference there is, so much so that no one even is daring to make a prediction who wins the Big 12 this year. So I'm wondering, is there going to be a team that rises up and we can say, okay, that was very clearly the best team in the Big 12
Who's going to cream the crop?
You can say that. I don't know about that one. That's Diddy.
Why not?
That's getting in the Diddy lines there, but
Cream the competition. I don't know what you're doing.
Question number 2. Are the quarterbacks as advertised? I know that where everyone's going to want to talk about Arch Manning, but we've got Lenora Sellers, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier. Like, a lot of these guys people are banking on them being really good, but there are plenty of questions for all of them. Lenora Sellers, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier all have questions coming into this season. Are all of these quarterbacks going to be as advertised, or is it going to be we're going to kind of have a regression to the mean for a lot of these players?
Speaking of questions about quarterback, chat let us know last night Steve Young is the great-great-great-grandson of one Brigham Young.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Full-fledged Mormon.
That's impressive. Third question I have is, does Clemson take a step forward this year? Everyone's banking on Clemson being the best team in the ACC and absolutely dominating it. And yes, they won the conference last year, but they didn't do it very impressively. They barely beat Pitt. They struggled to beat Virginia Tech. They got handled at home by Louisville. Like, there's a lot of wins on here for Clemson that are just not that impressive. And for as much as everyone's talking about how they are just going to run through the ACC, they need to take a step forward as far as talent and overall execution goes for them to do so. So that's one question I have. Question number 4. Can Dan Lanning and Oregon take the next postseason step? We saw Oregon have a really, really good regular season, went 12-0, had some impressive wins, kind of felt off on that Big Ten championship, let Penn State run all over them, still got the win regardless. We know how the Rose Bowl went. So can Oregon take that next step and maybe rattle off a playoff win or two? And then question 5, how clear is the gap for the SEC and the Big Ten? We've all kind of accepted it that the SEC and the Big Ten are the two premier conferences in college football. How much so is that? Is it here's them and here's everyone else, or is it kind of the margins are thin? That's what I want to see this year.
So there's a massive, notable omission from all 3 lists right here. A major storyline entering 2025 that neither of us have a question about. Any guesses?
Revenue sharing?
Nope. A certain player with a very famous name.
Arch Manning.
Yeah, Arch Manning didn't make any of our lists. Nobody's got questions. Nobody's curious.
I mean, I'm
about
curious, but I feel like we're going to be curious enough about Arch Manning.
I'm not
going to
beat
omit him
That's
from
not
my
the
list.
biggest question entering college football season. How good is Arch Manning going to be?
I'm not going to beat that horse.
It changed my life.
It didn't make my list because I think I know how good he's going to be. I think I know he's going to be really good.
I think Arch Manning. I think that's also what it is. I think Arch Manning's going to be a really, really good quarterback. I'm just not going to play into this fascination of him being the greatest of all time and him being the next savior of college football.
No.
I think he's going to be a really good quarterback.
But if he is, will you laud him that? Will you
Yeah.
give him that?
If he
But
does
he's
it,
gotta earn it.
yeah.
I found it so funny today. Obviously, I went semi-viral today with an Arch Manning video. And it's him against Mississippi State. And it's him actually playing college football. And all the comments were like, he ain't done shit. I got to see him do something. And I'm like, is that not what I'm showing you right now? One of the comments was, I got to see him do it against some actual pressure. And the comment or the video that he was commenting on was Arch Manning making a free hitter miss and then ripping a ball down the field. So, like, the dude's going to do it. I think he's going to make some mistakes like every other quarterback, but he's going to play really well this year. And unless he wins a national title, there are going to be people that say, wow, he didn't play as good as I thought he was going to.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned today. So, like, no matter how good this kid's going to be, there's going to be people that think, he didn't earn that. It's just because of his last name. Or it's just Sarkisian.
Well,
it's
that's
just the system. It's just anybody could do that there.
Well, that's
There's
also
gonna be a
going
level of that.
to play into the fact that no matter how good or bad he does, the media is he's going to be the only thing people talk about.
Yeah.
So immediately you're going to be kind of like we just did it where just don't even bring him up. He's a great quarterback, but everyone else is going to talk him ad nauseum. So.
And by the way, like, I crap on that. I hate that. I hate that there are certain things that we talk over and over and over and over again. And sometimes I don't even want to talk about them. We talked about one last night, the video game. Hell, I felt like we spent the last 2 years talking about Colorado when I didn't want to, but we had to because it got numbers and people read it and people watch it and people look at it. That's the way Arch is going to be. You're going to be tired of hearing about Arch Manning, but he's going to be on the front line of ESPN over and over again because it draws eyes and it's going to get attention.
It's all about the money.
That. Yeah. I mean, I think he's going to be really, really good. So
yeah.
There's that. Lee Corso made the show notes tonight?
He did.
I love when Lee Corso makes the show notes.
I do too. You
probably
want to read
one
this
of the-
quote, or
probably-
you want to explain why he made the show notes?
Yeah, so an article was written. This came from On3, but I don't know exactly where this quote came from. But obviously, Lee Corso's final game day headgear selection was chosen to be for the Ohio State and Texas game this year. Obviously, there were some big moments there because never mind. They thought he was going to go to Florida State because he has a lot of ties there. It'd be a big memorable moment, and then also because Fox is going to be one of the broadcasters for the Ohio State-Texas game. But instead, he is going to be at the Ohio State game, and apparently there's a quote from that says they're not too excited about it. The Corso family isn't too thrilled about it, and here's the quote. It says, "As a family of Seminoles, yes, it was very disappointing, but at the same time, it will be fun to watch his last game day in headgear in Columbus." Dan Corso, Lee's son, told the Tallahassee Democrat. He was consistent with his love for FSU and the pageantry and tradition of college football, and on a weekly basis for 38 years reminded everyone that college football is a great form of entertainment.
So, will this be his last show?
Yeah. Yes.
It's not just his last headgear pick. This will be the last College Game Day that he is on?
Yes. Correct.
Is that correct? I think it's awesome that the family wants him to go back to Florida State, but for us college football fans, I don't think there's a better ending for that 38-year run than Brutus to be the first headgear pick and Brutus to be the last headgear pick.
Yeah, and it's the biggest game of the entire
it makes
weekend.
sense.
So
You
you
should
want him
be
to be there, and because we all know what would happen, or Lee Corso would probably pick FSU if I had to guess if he went there. If I had to guess, but at the same time, like that wouldn't have as much draw to it. Like figuring out if Lee Corso is going to pick Alabama or Florida State. For the Ohio State-Texas game, there's going to be a big draw for that one. Yeah.
And let's also peel the curtain back here a little bit. As a graduate of the Grady College of Journalism from the University of Georgia, I can tell you exactly how this went. Jay Will, remind me what website posted that story?
The Tallahassee Democrat.
The Tallahassee Democrat. So I can tell you that they were probably in the room talking with his name. What's the son's name?
Dan?
Dan Corso. And they said, hey, Dan, your father played at Florida State. I believe he coached there for a while. Were you disappointed that College Game Day?
Well, leading the witness?
Leading the witness for sure. And obviously the quote reads exactly like that. Yeah, as a family of Seminoles, we're a little disappointed, but yada, 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 we're still excited for the game. So that's exactly what happened. I don't think that the Corsos are bitter because they're not heading to Tallahassee for College Game Day or anything like that.
And it's shown because this was in a press release from Corso, and it says, my family and I will be forever indebted for the opportunity to be part of ESPN and College Game Day for nearly 40 years. I have a treasure of many friends, fond memories, and some unusual experiences to take with me into retirement.
Yeah, so don't think that like Lee Corso's upset that he's going to Columbus or that the family's bitter about this.
No, he hates Ohio State. He doesn't want to go.
This was the local media trying to get a story out and getting a headline and doing a leading question and doing a great job at it because we're talking about it right now.
You think there's a Tallahassee Republican down there?
I don't know. I'm not going to do too much digging to find out.
Me neither.
Fun town,
You
though.
gotta play both sides, don't you?
I would think so.
I would think so, too.
It's typically the rule.
That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
In the world of J School, which you guys so rightfully graduated from.
Yes, we did.
Indeed.
Did I miss anything in journalism school?
I mean, some technicality stuff, but
Some fun times?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful times.
Maybe I'll take up one of those professors that offered me an opportunity to go sit in her class.
You should.
You think I should?
You'll just be overwhelmed with knowledge.
As long as I don't wear a logo. Week 1 of college football is going to be absolutely nuts, dude.
Yes.
I'm glad for this. Now, you talked about it a little bit last night, thinking it's been about 10 years since we've had one of these absolute, like,
it's been about
holy
5.
shit, how am I going to watch all those football games?
2021 was the last time I remember being like, damn, there's just like from noon to 7:30, there is a prominent premier college football game on. It feels like this way. And by the way, we're at the point now where we're getting Sunday games. Like the South Carolina-Virginia Tech game on Sunday is very exciting as well.
I always thought Miami played on Monday a lot during the opening weekend.
They do. They did against Florida one time, I believe, in week 0.
I remember a couple of games on Monday night for Miami in years prior, but they're going to play on Sunday this time against them Catholics. All right, so it's a massive week 1. You got LSU, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas, UNC, TCU is on this list for a very specific reason. Tennessee, Syracuse, Colorado, Georgia Tech, Auburn at Baylor. And Jonathan, you brought this to my attention a couple of days ago here in the studio while we were writing. This is going to be not just a great weekend of college football. This is going to be some overreaction Monday type football right here.
Yeah, I mean, with the matchups that you have, there is no way, because college football fans already aren't rational, especially when it comes to reacting to a game that just happened. It's the start of the season, so you're only basing things off of either preseason rankings or what some guy on a camera told you about your football team or someone else's football team. So let's just start with one. LSU versus Clemson, this is the fraudulent bowl. Because whoever loses this game, frauds. Clemson, you lose, you're frauds. Can't compete with the SEC. You're not made to win a national title. Cade Klubnik, you suck. Garrett Nussmeier and LSU and Brian Kelly, you still can't win a week 1 game. There's no way you're winning a national title this year. That's what's going to be spread all over social media week 1 after that game.
Big facts.
I will say, though, I do think LSU is in much more danger of getting this than Clemson is because if Clemson loses, they're going to still do the
shake back.
Well, not even that. Oh, it's okay. They can still run through the ACC.
Whole season's ahead.
They'll
of
be
them.
fine. They went 9-3 last year and made the playoff. If Brian Kelly loses another week 1 game, it is going to be this program is in chaos. It's in disaster. This was a must-win for LSU with the schedule they have ahead of them. They're in trouble. So I agree that there will be major overreactions if LSU loses. if Clemson loses, I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, maybe Clemson's not as dominant as we expected them to be, but there's still opportunity for them to make the playoff this year.
No, Christian, that's not how this works. That
I
is not
could be wrong.
That's not how college football fans operate.
They
man.
might Lane Kiffin bring Brian Kelly if he loses by 2 scores.
Tarmac.
Just leave him on the tarmac.
That'd be awesome. Ohio State versus Texas. The losing QB is just going to be absolutely torn apart.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that majority of people are probably hoping that Arch Manning is going to be the one that loses in this game. And poor Julian Sayin or Kine Holds, whoever it is for Ohio State.
It'll be Julian Sayin, by the way. I got pretty firm confirmation on that one.
Okay, Julian Sayin, I'm sorry that this might be your introduction to college football fandom, but, I mean – losing QB is going to be, he just ain't cut for it. Whether it's Julian Sayin and then Arch Manning, it's going to be, he's overrated. Told you he can't do the job. Big game, can't show up.
Again, it's definitely going to happen if Arch Manning wins this game, cementing him as the GOAT. Went into Columbus, the national champion, week 1 on the road, first true start, did it, won the game. He's the GOAT. If Texas loses that, I think it's going to be Arch showed flashes. Arch showed this. Arch showed that. Ohio State's still a very good team. They're a national championship team. I think there's overreactions on one side, though.
I wish you could take Vegas betting lines and treat them like stocks on Wall Street, because Friday night before that Ohio State game, I would buy so much Arch to win the Heisman stock and then sell it the next day after he beats Ohio State, because he'd go through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God!
He would be so much the favorite, or will be such the favorite after week 1 if they win that game.
If Arch Manning has 250 passing
225,
yards,
2 touchdowns,
yeah,
no interceptions.
as long
they
as
win by 6.
Arch Manning can put
Heisman
up
winner.
whatever stat line he wants, and as long as Texas wins that football game, he's automatically the front runner.
I'd sell the stock immediately.
Yeah.
It's a
Take
good
the
idea.
profits and claim the capital gains tax immediately.
There you go.
Another one of my favorites for this weekend, and this is really just a one-sided one, but it's UNC versus TCU on Sunday, and everybody is going to be watching Bill Belichick coach's first college football game for the Tar Heels. And I just can't even imagine what could be discussed after this game. If they win, it's going to be about, here they come. Here come the Tar Heels. Bill's going to do it. Bill's going to become one of the greatest in college football. And if he loses, everybody's going to be blaming him and Jordan Hudson for ruining one of the greatest football coaches in history.
So, Pablo Torre's been the guy kind of reporting all this stuff about Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick. And apparently he's got another bomb coming. He leaked it to Dan Patrick today.
Oh, yeah.
That there's more coming on the Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson front.
I was literally about to say that story's kind of quieted down over the last.
Pablo
month or
Torre
so.
is not going to let that happen.
No, he is not.
Which apparently, I don't know how I feel about this, because I am a reporter. We're all reporters. We all report news. We all get told news all the time. If the Bill Belichick extended family was refusing to stop calling your phone, trying to get the narrative out about how crazy this female is, would you allow it to happen? Would you just keep reporting the new stuff? Because that's what he's clearly doing. He is clearly getting inundated with this information that is negative towards this couple and constantly keeps putting it out. Are you almost obligated to continue to put it out?
Financially, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I mean, he's starting a brand new podcast too. Pablo Torre finds out.
Unfortunately, that's the main driver here. Is that everyone wants.
That's the name of the podcast.
No, I'm
Pablo
not
Torre
laughing at
finds
that.
out.
I'm laughing at the fact that this sparked up a podcast.
No. He had the podcast. This is the biggest story that the podcast has uncovered.
Okay.
And that's why he's doing it.
You made it sound like because of this.
No.
Start a podcast.
Now, he did win journalism. He got nominated for a journalism award because of this. A Peabody, I think is what it's called.
It is.
I mean, if you don't do it, someone else will. So
True.
So I mean, it's not one. It's one of those things where.
But you're right. If he loses to TCU week 1, everybody's going to laugh, which he might.
TCU's not that team.
Do they have 22 P4 starters right now at UNC?
Couldn't even tell you.
I don't think they have a P4 quarterback. They've had trouble there. I know that.
Yeah, and he's not going to just roll out the freshman and take his licks, because he's probably a one-and-done situation at UNC anyways, isn't he?
Feels that way.
If it's super successful, hand it off to Steve immediately and get the hell out of there?
That's what
That's what it feels like.
I would say there's another game on this list. I think that one of these is more geared to their own fan base, and the other one, that's more generalized to all of college football fans. And it's the Tennessee versus Syracuse game because for Tennessee, it's all going to be about Joey Aguilar. How does his team shape up against an ACC team who everybody feels is inferior to Tennessee because it's SEC versus ACC, so of course they're going to be the better team. But it's all going to be about, is Joey Aguilar good enough? If you lose to Syracuse, then this was a mistake. Our season is doomed. Might have to go paint his name on a rock and say something about it.
Whoa.
And then for Syracuse, if they beat Tennessee, it's going to be Fran Brown stamped. He's the next one.
This is the You Just Got Here Bowl. Joey Aguilar just got there. My man Steve Angeli just got there.
Love that name.
They're going to be rolling out brand new cues in this football game. It's going to be one of the offenses is pretty simplistic in nature. The other one, Syracuse, not so much, but they're both going to be really simplistic in this football game, you would imagine, right?
Yeah.
How much of your
one.
full-fledged offense can you get put in for your starting quarterback who just got there in June?
Yeah, no, it's week 1. You're not doing that.
This is also going to be the least appealing football game on the eyes.
So we're betting the under here already in June. We're going to bet this under?
I mean, we got to see what the line is. before
Yeah,
we do that.
but I think it's going to be a rock fight.
I could see it. Yeah, orange on orange, two different shades of orange.
Either way, our quarterback sucks post-game with a loss.
I hope that Syracuse comes out in the Navy jerseys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Can't go orange on orange.
Yeah, hopefully it's not white and orange than orange on white.
Even though the Syracuse orange far more preferable to the Tennessee orange.
I will agree with that.
So,
That 22 Orange Bowl was tough, man. The Clemson versus Tennessee one.
Yeah.
Oof.
I just told you who Syracuse's quarterback is this year. Steve Angeli, or the 18-year-old third-year junior transfer from LSU.
Steve Angeli should have played basketball. I think he would have performed much better. Angeli just sounds like a basketball name.
Yeah, I guess.
You just like word jelly in it.
Yeah.
Angeli? Come on, man.
There's another one. There's two more. Colorado, Georgia Tech's going
Oh, they're on the list, yeah.
Game. Yeah,
They're
we're
on
either
the
going to
list.
think Travis Hunter won 9 games by himself or Deion Sanders. Well, no, or we're going to think Shador sucks, right?
If Colorado wins.
If Colorado wins and Julian Lewis throws for like
Yo.
350, they're going to be like, damn,
Ooh.
Shador really was trash.
Yeah, that's
Y'all forgot about that, huh?
that's an interesting take on that because the verdict is still very much out on Shador, especially now that he was a 5th round.
By the way, has Deion returned to coaching activities?
I don't know.
I don't know. That was an interesting like, hey, this is going on, and then just
Undisclosed
immediately went away.
illness. My man back in Texas, not with the team.
Do we still have that take on the board?
Oh, it's still on the board, and I'm not touching it.
No, hey, we got time.
No, I'm not touching it.
Just curious.
Takes on the board.
Is there anything overreactionary about Georgia Tech?
If Georgia Tech,
Yeah, Philo needs to start.
there's a couple of these.
If Haynes King looks bad, I'll say it.
Okay.
I'll say it because I think Philo is that good. But I think we're the only people, and Georgia fans maybe, but Georgia fans don't know about Philo because he
No,
didn't
they
play
didn't
in
see
that
him.
game. Who knows about him? Virginia Tech fans?
Yeah.
Virginia Tech fans know about Philo?
I think NC State he played.
NC State got the hands. That's right. NC State knows about Aaron Philo.
That was a Friday game, I believe.
They said Deion Sanders won't return until late August to the team.
So that's right around
Interesting.
first week.
He must have had some, I don't know, no HIPAA violations. There must have been some type of surgery.
Prayers.
Yeah.
Prayers.
T's and P's to Deion.
T's and
Sanders.
P's. Going to be okay, though.
Hopefully.
I hope so.
Going to be back with the team in August. So says AI.
All right.
So we're good there. Auburn at Baylor. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Sawyer Robson going to drop 450 on the head top of Auburn.
This is the Hugh Freeze is fired game if they don't win.
Probably.
That's steep.
Hey, dude, by the way, no recruiting momentum right now.
None.
None.
They got a quarterback.
They did get the flip today.
They got a quarterback.
You know, after missing Travis Burgess to UNC.
Look, they flipped the
And
force.
missing on.
So if you're a real Auburn fan, you're probably like, yeah, we got Penn State's quarterback that they didn't want because Troy Hune committed
I think the
there.
bigger one there is you're probably not getting Landon Duckworth.
Probably not getting Landon Duckworth. Probably not getting Shadarius Tootle.
No.
Probably not getting Sedarian Morgan. Probably going to Alabama.
Yeah, that doesn't look
looking
like
good
Auburn
for you.
lean.
We talked about it all year last year. He didn't have to do shit on the field because he had a top 10 recruiting class. He does not have that going into this year.
It's okay. They're going 6-6.
That's right. You're going to make a bowl.
They're going to
Just
make
gotta
the
make a bowl game.
Gonna make
It's
a
okay.
bowl.
So if they lose to Baylor, Hugh Freeze can stand up there and say, "Don't worry, guys."
What if they, like, Cal lose it, like 20-13?
Ooh.
And Jackson Arnold looks like boo-boo.
Jackson Arnold is getting thrown under the bus.
That's
first
right.
of all.
That's what it'll be.
We called
Jackson sucks. Let's start Deuce. That'll be the overreaction.
Here's what's we called the right plays. We just couldn't execute them on the field.
It's unfortunate that my veteran quarterback is making me play my true freshman in week 2, but it is what it is.
I gave Jackson 7 trapdoors.
I'm going to be honest here, though.
And he picked wrong 5 times.
5 of them had alligators behind them. 2 of them touchdowns.
The writing is
We got 8 behind the line.
the writing is absolutely on the wall for Hugh Freeze to get fired this year.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to speculate too early, and I know he's going through some health issues at the moment. We just talked about it. There's no recruiting momentum. Hugh Freeze himself is out here campaigning for a bowl game is our goal. The expectations in the bar is so low at Auburn that it feels like if you could fast forward 9 months from now and say, oh yeah, I totally understood why Hugh Freeze didn't make it out of 2025. He was talking about going 6-6 in the regular season. And they had the 40th class at the end of June. It makes sense.
I saw a post from Message Board Geniuses yesterday on social media from an Auburn fan saying essentially, why doesn't our coach love us? Why can't we get a coach that loves our university? Brian Harsin didn't give a shit. Gus Malzahn wanted to win and get out and go to Cleveland. Wanted to get to the NFL, apparently.
You were also very mean to Gus Malzahn.
You were extremely mean to Gus.
If
I don't
only
think
you knew.
I don't think will Auburn. Well, we don't know how well Alabama's going to be in the future, but will Auburn hire another coach in the next 20 years that has a 500 record against Alabama?
It wasn't 500.
Pretty damn close.
I think he was.
He was like 5-7 over the 12 years there, dude. Yes, he was. Wasn't he?
No.
Were you?
Let's
Gus
do
Malzahn's record against Alabama.
I can do the math right now. 13, 17, 19. Those are his 3 wins.
So like 3.
So that means he lost
6.
14, 15, 16,
3 and 6.
18, 3 and 5, 3 and 6.
All right, so who's winning 30% of the games against Alabama over the next decade?
That I don't know.
Not Hugh Freeze.
It says 3 and 5. Kerber's right.
Look at you. Oh, boy.
I know ball.
Knower. That was pretty damn close to 500, though. That's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
that bad.
it's not horrible, but
It's a whole hell of a lot better than what they got going right now, I would imagine.
yeah. But I mean, then again, he almost got him 2 years ago.
Now, I did do some film study on these Week 1 games. Do you want to hear some quick notes?
I'd
Yes,
love to.
please.
I don't know what LSU was doing, except for no way you can beat us today playing defense. Watching that Baylor bowl game, Baylor threw for, I think, 445 yards in that football game, but only rushed for like 65. And you'll find out why as soon as you turn on the tape. They're blitzing the shit out of Sawyer Robinson all game long, playing man-to-man defense everywhere unless they bunched up, and then they'd play some zone like everybody else does. But it was very clear to me that LSU was basically saying, you won't throw for 500 yards today. And they damn near did. I highly doubt Auburn will do that to this football team. Auburn, as long as I've been studying them the last several years, has been very much so a zone football team on the back end, so I don't expect that. But what I will tell you about Baylor, and you'll see it on the study, the kid's really big. Sawyer's like 6'4", 215 pounds. He's got a lot of horsepower to him, relatively inaccurate at times, but the reason being they're going to take shots on you if you allow them to. So I expect a lot of points in that football game, just looking at it right now going into the year. And I do appreciate about Baylor's OC that, like, if you want him to run the football, he's going to run the football. If you want him to throw, take shots on you, he'll take shots on you as well. He's going to take what the defense is giving you. You'll see that in that study. I took a look at the Tennessee running backs. And I think I talked about this last night. Or Tuesday night. I was expecting to see a lot of flash plays from Bishop and from my man Peyton Lewis. There's a lot of growth there. And that system's not as simple as, oh, this is how we ran inside zone in high school. No, the reads and the keys are totally different because the wide receivers and the extra box defenders and the extra defenders are way in different spots than they normally are. So your reads and your keys are just slightly different, particularly on the second and third levels, which is where a lot of the growth, I think, is going to come this year for Bishop and both Peyton and Lewis. Now, I told you I did take a look at Arch. Every time I watch Arch, I'm like, more and more impressed. And I watch the same stuff, and I find more and more impressive details about him. And the film it speaks volumes about what he's going to be, and we'll show you that. I also took a look at Dylan Raiola, who I was stunned. I was stunned to see just – what's up?
South Carolina just got a commit from Sequel Patterson.
Hell yeah. Anyways, I was looking at it, stunned at just how – when you watch Dylan Raiola play football, it's very clear to me that he knows football. He's playing on time. He's reading his keys the right way. He understands pockets, like when pockets are breaking down, when I need to get rid of the football, when I need to hang in there and let things develop. The problem is, I've talked about this all offseason. I don't think there was a bigger needed addition offensively this offseason than Dane Key going to Nebraska, because they didn't have a single soul in terms of a weapon in Nebraska last year, and it was obvious when you watched that tape. I was thoroughly impressed with Raiola when I watched the film. I do think he could put a little bit more oomph on the football. He's got a little bit of Quinn Ewers to his game in that sense, but he's a lot better than Quinn, so there's that. All right, those are the film study notes. We got a new segment around here, boys.
Oh.
It's called 110s. So here's the deal. We've been looking for some type of summer segment all spring to start previewing some of the biggest teams entering the year. And I told Jonathan that I wanted a segment that focused on testing the conditioning of each college football program, or rather a condition test for each college football program. And if you played at any reasonable football program, there is one like world-renowned conditioning test, and that is the 110s. Now, some strength and conditioning coordinators are a little bit insane, and they might make you run 30 of the some bitches. Most of them are going to make you probably run 16 to 18 110s in one setting, okay, and that is your conditioning test. What is a 110? You start at the end line, okay, and you run through the end zone. It's 110 yards, all right? That's what it is. So here's the deal. This is one 10-minute segment on one given football team, and we're going to exactly lay out what we think of this football team entering the year by answering several very important questions like this one. What is the biggest loss on Penn State's roster this year, boys? Penn State is our first 110 team.
All right, well, let's get the obvious out of the way. Tyler Warren not being on that offense is going to be – it's going to change things a lot just to how it operates. But I think losing Kobe King and Tamir Robinson to the draft and to the portal really thinned out that linebacker room to a point where obviously Penn State's still going to have a top 10 defense this year, but the depth got deplenished, I think. So I think those are the two big losses.
And honestly, Abdul Carter, huge loss right there. First-round edge rusher. I think I know why you miss this, like, obvious,
yeah, like,
right?
No shit.
It's so obvious. No shit.
I didn't want to seem like the guy that's like, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, good thinking. Abdul Carter and
you lose
Tyler
the number
Warren.
2 overall selection might hurt your defense just a little bit. I think it was number 2, wherever the Giants took him. But nonetheless, an obvious loss on this defense. But from the Abdul Carter standpoint, number 15 went to the NFL draft last year. I loved him as an edge rusher too, but Denai Dennis Sutton's back on this roster. I think he's going to be one of college football's more premier pass rushers this year. And you mentioned the losses at linebacker. The addition of Tony Rojas, I think that was in that 2023 signing class. That was huge, man. They took Tony Rojas off, I think, Notre Dame's commitment list. I think there was a battle there with Ohio State. A bunch of Big Ten teams, maybe even USC mixed in there with Tony Rojas. I loved watching him on tape last year as a sophomore. He'll be making big plays this year. Where's 13 from them? He's going to pop on film this year for them. Now, obviously, Tyler Warren, you mentioned, that's a huge loss, but very similar to a school that we cover here, and that's the University of Georgia. I think Penn State's probably annually – Penn State, Georgia, and Michigan are the 3 teams in my mind that I correlate to tight end depth. They're going to have really, really good tight ends every single year. I think this year is no different for those guys. They got 4 or 5 like high-end Big Ten caliber starters at the tight end position. So, yeah, they don't have Tyler Warren, but they got plenty of bodies right there. Not as much so at the wide receiver position, which you just laid out. I already mentioned, man, like I loved Denai Dennis Sutton. I loved him coming out of high school, out of the DMV. So I think the biggest losses, they have enough to replace them.
Did either one of you mention Harrison Wallace?
No, we did not.
Harrison Wallace was a 700-yard plus receiver for them last year. He transferred to Ole Miss this offseason. So
this was the burner, right? He wore 6 for them, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for a wide receiver that we believe is kind of lacking some playmaking right now, losing a guy that had over 700 yards last year, that's a big loss.
So there's the negative. Let's talk about the positive, guys, because they did make some additions this offseason, most notably at wide receiver. And this is the position that is, I think it's going to carry Penn State this year, good or bad. Whatever happens to Penn State's football season this year, I think it's solely off of development, further development from the quarterback, and what the hell happens at wide receiver with these transfers. Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross, and Trebor Pena.
Yeah, and I think Pena is going to be a really big addition. He had 941 yards for Syracuse last year. And by the way, he's been in college since 2020. I know everyone makes jokes about that, like hang it up, bro. That experience that you have playing 5, 6, sometimes 7 years on a collegiate roster is so valuable, and we've seen those guys excel.
He put up 900 yards last year at Syracuse as the number 2.
Correct.
Yes.
Because Jackson Meeks was the number 1 out
Correct.
there.
They were throwing it around.
And while Meeks was the number 1, I frequented some Syracuse football last year. They may or may not have been on my parlays quite a bit last year, so that was a big reason why. But anyways, I felt like Trebor Pena was more so he's my go-to guy for Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
It seemed like that was the guy that he really relied on quite a bit.
I'm not saying he's going to be this, but he reminded me, in what you're talking about right here, of dude that wore number 2 was wide receiver for Texas this year. That was first-round draft pick that went to Green Bay.
Matthew Golden.
Matthew Golden. That's what it looked like to me, where it's like, yeah, you've got Ryan Wingo. Yeah, you've got Jackson Meeks. But in the fourth quarter, when you've got to get somebody open, we're going to find Pena. We're going to find my man Matthew Golden. That's the way I felt about those two offenses.
But yeah, Devontae Ross was a 1,000-yard-plus receiver for Troy last year. Yeah. So that's a conversation of, is it actually going to translate to Big Ten competition? But you put up 1,000 yards anywhere. I don't care who you are. That's a good wide receiver.
All right, biggest strengths on this roster. I think first and foremost, you got to start with continuity. I think of all of the top 10 football teams in college football preseason rankings, Penn State returns the most consistent production on both sides of the football. I think that's a massive strength for them, most notably the quarterback coming back.
Yeah, and they're spearheaded by a defense, and that's kind of been the identity under James Franklin of we are really, really strong on defense.
I totally forgot 2 massive additions. I'm sorry. This has to be talked about, or Penn State fans will clown on us.
Well, I was about to get to one of them.
Who?
Jim Knowles?
No.
Okay, well then.
I'm going to talk about players here.
Okay.
Dude, Anaya White, I thought was a guaranteed superstar edge rusher coming out of high school. It didn't work out at his first stop. He transferred in, and this was like almost news to me when I looked at the depth chart today. I think he's got an opportunity to be a third-down pass rusher for these guys. And I don't know if he's going to get on the field as a true freshman, but they gave him a number 11, and he's pretty damn big and massive already. LeVar Arrington Jr. got added to this room as well. And you don't wear 11 at Penn State unless they think you're a damn dude.
That is true. That is their sacred number.
Sorry, continue, man. My bad. That was a rude introduction into what you were doing.
Basically just talking about how they have a very strong defense, and it probably got stronger this year with the addition of Jim Knowles. They kind of plucked him from Ohio State. That was one of the bigger headlines of the early offseason of, wow, Penn State's got this really good defense. They're returning a lot of starters, and they just got the national champions, DC. They're going to be really, really good on defense this year. I think another strength they have is that they play complementary football. Yeah. You have a defense that gets you off the field fairly quickly, and then you have a running back room that will likely be the focal point of your offense that allows you to consistently stay on the field on offense and grind teams down. The longer opposing defenses are on the field, the better Penn State's going to be as time goes on.
Was it Andy Kotelenecki, the offensive coordinator up there?
Oh, I don't know.
I believe so.
He's good.
Yeah, run game is certainly, in my opinion, the headliner of this team. Getting both of those guys back, but
the offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line too. I mean, those two play hand in hand, so that'll be a strong point of the offense. But I really like what they have going on in the secondary. If you kind of just look at it on paper, you see A.J. Harris, and you would say that's the only returning starter, and that is true for the most part. But the other guys that they have behind them in Zion Tracy and Elliott Washington have played a lot of snaps for them. They didn't necessarily start for Penn State last year, but those two guys have played in a lot of football games for Penn State. I like A.J. Harris as a prospect. He played really well for them last year, so I think that their secondary is going to play well this year as well.
I think A.J. Harris made a great decision getting out of Georgia.
Dude, go get PT.
Get onto that field immediately. He balled out last year.
Absolutely.
Did Jalen Kimber get drafted relatively well?
Let me look.
Because he started for them last year, and I thought he played fairly well at times. You mentioned the coordinators, man. I think they're two of the more coveted coordinators in the sport. Andy Kotelenecki, like we mentioned, did great things last year, just making them more creative. I felt like they were harder to defend because they had more. Like they just did more. And almost, I think at times last year, Kimber went undrafted.
Undrafted.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think at times last year we connoted Kotelanecki as an a high school offensive coordinator in the sense that he would create new ways to get his best players the football in non-conventional ways, right? If you watched them last year, you would see Tyler Warren as a running back. You'd see him at quarterback. You'd see him moving all across the field as an option, as a weapon, as a wide receiver. So I think he'll do the same exact thing this year. You mentioned Jim Knowles coming over. That was a massive addition as well. Just the way that they run zone defense, or at least that they did at Ohio State. If they can do anything close to that defensively at Penn State this year, they're going to be a problem. All right, biggest weaknesses on this roster. I think we've already hit on the main one.
Yeah, weapons aren't proven, and you have the possibility of being one-dimensional because of that. Yeah. We've all talked about how Drew Aller is supposed to be one of the premier quarterbacks of this 2025 season.
Yeah,
it hasn't exactly proven to be there yet. There's a lot of upside there. The ceiling's very high. Some people are floating him out as the number 1 overall pick. But until he can consistently do that and march you down the field, and by the way, with unproven weapons, I think that there's going to be – you have to label it as a weakness.
I don't mind Drew Aller, the facilitator. I worry that we're going into big football games this year and we're like, Drew's got to go win this one for us. That would scare me if I were a Penn State fan. That doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah, I have some stats on that. I was going to bring it up later, but I'll go ahead and do it now. I'm going to.
He must be your most important player.
I'm going to excuse. No, he's actually not.
He's mine.
This was actually going to be an answer to the most important game for Penn State, but I'm going to go ahead and excuse James Franklin from the "you can't win a big game" conversation, because I think for the last 2 years it's been a Drew Aller problem. It has not been a James Franklin problem. I just want to read you some stats. So of 8 games over the last 2 seasons where Drew Aller has been the starter, I'll read you off the opponents: Ohio State, Oregon, SMU, Boise State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, and Ole Miss. In those 8 games, Drew Aller averaged 170 passing yards, a 51.2% completion percentage, 1.25 touchdowns, and 0.5 interceptions. In 6 of 8 of those games, he had a completion percentage of 55% or worse. That is not good quarterback play in the biggest moments of your season. So, yes, you can claim that James Franklin can't win the big games. That has been something that has been brought up throughout his entire coaching career. But for the last 2 years, his starting quarterback has not been showing up in big games for them.
I feel like there was one moment where Drew Aller played like the first rounder that people think he is. That was the second half against USC, when he accounted for like 78% of the total offensive production.
He had a really good first half against Boise as well.
He had a really good first half against Boise?
Yeah.
That's true. He was lighting it the hell up. I do remember that. But so that's like one full game of football?
Pretty much, yeah.
The second half and the first half of 2 separate games that were separated by 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great. Most important game for the another weakness we didn't mention: James Franklin in big games.
Yeah,
here's has to be noted.
Here's a stat to counter it's Drew Aller's fault for J-Will. James Franklin has been the Penn State head coach since 2014, I believe. Correct?
Sounds about right.
In games against top 10 opponents, he is 4-20.
Oh, yeah, honestly, I was shocked he had the 4. When you told me he had the 4, I was a little bit surprised.
I'm not discounting.
I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying, like, it is definitely a James Franklin issue. That
last 2 years, James Franklin and Drew Aller. We'll combine the two.
Agreed.
Most important game for these guys, I think it's obvious.
So it's Oregon.
Oregon at home.
It's Oregon.
Yes. You got to win the home game.
You have.
If you don't win that game,
I expect you to lose to Ohio State on the road.
Yeah, if you win that game, you can lose to Ohio State on the road and still be a playoff team. But then if you lose to Oregon, you then pretty much have to go into Ohio State and win that game. And by the way, be careful for upsets for Penn State.
Yeah, watch out for that 3-point sneaky win against Bowling Green.
They do it every season. They did it last year with Minnesota. They did it in 2020.
They were up 14-7 in the second quarter against Kent State this year, the worst Division I football team in the country.
Yeah, I mean they've done it consistently. 2023 they flirted with 2-6 Indiana. They eked out a win in Week 1 over Purdue in 22. They lost in 9 overtimes to Illinois in 21. They were 4-5 in 2020, so that's kind of out the window. Like, they very consistently get into these flirting matches of like, oh, is Penn State going to lose now? To James Franklin's credit, they've been able to pull it out, and they usually win these games. But with the margins being thinner as they've ever been in college football, Penn State could easily go 9-3 if they don't beat Oregon.
All right, most important player this year, I think it's Drew Aller.
It is.
I don't think there's a quarterback whose football team has higher expectations for that program with less weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Penn State fans and some people in college football, Joe Klatt included, are picking this team to win a national title. And you don't have a single solitary weapon apart from your running backs. That's troublesome.
To go a different avenue, because I figured that Drew Aller was going to be one that was given. I put denied Dennis Sutton.
Yeah.
I think that you got to replace the playmaking ability on defense that was provided to you last year from Abdul Carter. Game wrecking, whatever you want to call it. Denied Dennis Sutton needs to be that for them on defense this year.
Yep.
I went with Drew Aller as well for the same reason. So
season prediction, I got him 11-1.
10-2 with losses to Oregon and Ohio State.
That's probably the fairer prediction.
Until you show me that you can beat a top 10 team, whether it's at home or on the road, I'm not going to bet on you.
I got them beating Oregon at home just because that's Dante Moore's first big game.
Fair. Yeah, but again,
you got to go to 104,000.
We've got a decade long of
Probable
proving that
whiteout.
you have not been able to do this consistently. So I'm going to bet against you until you prove me wrong.
We got Spider-Man memeing all over that football game because what you just said, I could print and clip for Dan Lanning too.
This is true, but Dan Lanning has beaten the top 10 team.
Yep.
I have them going 10-2, but I have them beating Oregon but losing to somebody that they shouldn't.
Boy,
be careful.
Boy, that pissed some people off.
Be careful.
I think that you could very easily get into one of these performances since I just mentioned about Drew Aller. If one of those spits up on the schedule this year against another Big Ten conference opponent, you might be in some trouble and you might be on upset.
And we just talked about it. Every year for the last 5 to 6 years, they've had one game where it's why are they in a one-score game with them? Yeah. The margins are so thin this year in college football that a bounce of the football, you're 9-3 if that happens. So.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a whole nother hour coming up right now, and some say it's our best hour.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to our local hour. We finna talk that dog right here, and we got a loaded one, that's for dang sure. It's been an absolute insane run for the University of Georgia on the recruiting trail. 2 more commits since we went live on Tuesday night. With more inbound, it seems. We got the latest intel on all things recruiting coming tonight for you guys. Brett Bielema accusing people of tampering. Ain't accusing people, accusing Kirby Smart. University of Georgia.
And getting into some Twitter beef.
So there's that. We're going to talk about that tonight. And the Wheel of Topics and Nostalgic Tape make an appearance tonight as well. Let's start the show with commitment announcements. Wednesday, that was yesterday. We weren't live, but we put out a sub episode for you guys. Jay Lamar picks Georgia over Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. And, guys, we watched the tape Tuesday night. We think this guy's electric. He is definitely lightning in a bottle. I got a player comparison for you guys. And if you follow the NFL draft, you're going to love this one. If you're just an SEC homer, you're probably not going to understand this one. But the moment you watch tape, you're going to be like, my God, we got one of those. That's awesome. So I got a player comp for you in a second. But I think what stood out to me yesterday watching his commitment announcement was just how overwhelmed with emotions and gratitude he was to have made this decision to be a Georgia Bulldog. I don't know if he would have been this emotional had it been any school, but watching a kid make a massive life decision and become that overwhelmed with gratitude was heartwarming to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it speaks to the amount that some of these players love football, have dreams and aspirations of playing college. So I don't know if Jay Lamar grew up dreaming about playing at the University of Georgia, but realizing that his dream of playing college football is actually coming to fruition is very cool to see. And I feel like that is kind of lost in today's age of college football, where even high school recruiting has become so much of a business, and these kids are already 7 figures worth by the time they announce their commitment. So
I mean, we did see a 3-star commit the other day and say it's time to get paid.
yeah. So
I thought that was awesome.
Truth. Speak it.
Speak it. It's time to get paid.
Amen.
He's not
Amen,
wrong.
brother.
He's not wrong.
But nah, this is I think this is a massive land for Georgia for not only just because he's a great football player. I watched the tape, and then we rewatched it the other night. I was even more impressed. I was taken back by the amount of explosiveness and twitch he had on tape and the angles that he defied. Like, it's one thing to be just great straight line speed, but to watch dudes that I know are fast take good angles on you to the pylon and you defy them left and right for 7.5 minutes on the tape, it's beyond, oh, the track speed tells me you're fast. No, you're fast in pads. Like, that's obvious. So I think that's tremendous for him. But, man, this is great for Georgia for a multitude of reasons. You get a great football player, but now, man, you don't have to go insane with the Derek Cooper recruitment, right? Had you not landed Jay Lamar, let's say Jay Lamar commits to Clemson yesterday, or commits to Florida State, or commits to Miami. Now you feel like you got to go overpay for Derek Cooper, or maybe not even overpay for Derek Cooper. Maybe you feel like you got to settle for a lesser than prospect. And not to name any names, but I feel like they've done that in years past. Where years past they might miss on a Justice Haynes, and they don't necessarily replace him with a Justice Haynes.
Right.
This is a great land, a high-quality, top 250 type player, and you're going to go pursue the top 100 players still. This is great. And not to mention, Jay Lamar yesterday, when asked, who are you going to go recruit now? Who are you going after? Derek Cooper. Let me bring him in with me. I want to play with him.
Man, they just keep sounding like a fantastic commitment for Georgia, by all accounts. You get a great football player, a guy that's recruiting more great football players to your roster, and by the looks of it, looks like a guy that wants to play for the University of Georgia specifically.
Yeah.
And let's not discount
and play for your running backs coach.
Yeah,
that too.
I was saying, let's not discount the fact that Georgia sets themselves up in this position by not being the traditional feature back. Like, we've gone on 4 or 5 years now talking about how, man, Georgia hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher in X many seasons. That's because they have 2 to 3 running backs that split the carries. Like, Nate Frazier and Trevor Etienne split the carries down the middle basically last season. So that allows for, one, tread to stay on the tires, for you to not have to get beat up, because we all talk about the lifespan of a running back right now. But it also appeals to more running backs to join a class, to where if you have a 4-star, the other 5 stars, and say, I don't want to go there, they already have their guy. You can sign 2 to 3 guys now.
Chat's got a good point. Were Keith and Todd the first kind of inclination of this iteration, I should say,
big time?
Yeah, two highly touted backs signed in one class.
I would say so.
At least at Georgia.
Was Craig Lumpkin and Thomas Brown the same class?
Buddy, you got the wrong one right about now. You got the wrong one.
It's only like 2006 or 7. Like, come on.
You guys still got the wrong one.
Shout out Craig Lumpkin and Thomas Brown.
Now, as far as where they're at with Derek Cooper, I can tell you where all the momentum's coming from. I don't know if you guys, the chat's already on it. There's been a lot of sliding scale majiggies sliding towards Georgia's direction for the Derek Cooper sweepstakes. Remember, he committed to Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Didn't last long.
No. Mama woke up. That's what happened. Mama woke up the next morning and was like, you did what? No, you did not. You going to be a Hurricane. That's what it seemed like. Mama wanted him to go to Miami. Kid might want to go to Georgia. All this momentum's coming from Mama. All this SSM stuff you see, all these predictions, all these sliding Mama's buying into Georgia right about now, is what it sounds like. Or at least the sound bites that she is giving insiders, they feel good. That's good news. Okay, that's good news. Mama coming back towards that red and black.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see if it holds there. But if it were today, which is a segment we're going to get to in a second, if it were today, I would say Derek Cooper is added to this class. So that's good news. Now, do you want the player comp on Jay Lamar?
Oh, I would love one. I love a comp.
So Jay Lamar, he listed at 6 foot, 5'11 and a half, 5'11 and a quarter maybe. Listed at 205, he is that. I think he's Amari in Hampton.
I like this.
I
like this a lot.
I think he's Amari in Hampton because he's going to grow. He's going to get bigger. He's not going to get taller, but he's 205 right now. He's going to grow into 220. Amari in Hampton went to the combine and was 6 foot, 221 pounds, ran 4.4, and had elite college tape. Now, he was a workhorse.
Yeah,
okay, so I don't think he's ever going to get the attempts like this. But
no, they drove Amari
in Hampton into the ground. But from a height, weight, speed, style of play, I think this kid could be Amari in Hampton.
That's great.
One cut, extremely fast, holy shit, he's 220 pounds. I think Jamar
durable.
could grow into that.
This is a lot more rational than the Herschel Walker comparison. So
Slightly.
I am here with it completely.
You know, Herschel was 6'2", 230 when he played. I just think people forget that sometimes. He was the biggest guy on the field when he played.
And the fastest.
Is Jay Lamar racing trains?
Huh?
Is Jay Lamar racing trains?
Maybe that's his downfall.
Oh.
I
Is
wanna
he doing 5,000 push-ups and sit-ups a day?
I
In the
don't
living
know.
room?
Is he throwing rocks clear across the county like Bo Jackson?
Doing a backflip all waist deep in the water?
Jumping over entire rivers? Is he doing that?
I wish we still got some of these like we used to. Just
This guy's been bench pressing cinder blocks since he was 6.
Stetson Bennett wins 2 national titles, and there's like all these myths of like, I knew he was going to be great when he was 8 years old, and I don't know.
There's no lore.
We do need some mythical beings.
Yeah.
There's no lore anymore. Everyone knows who you are since you've been in middle school.
That's true.
There's no like, hey, he was doing.
There's no wait till you hear about so and so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, where the hell did this freshman come from? Everyone knew who he was.
That's a good point. So that was yesterday. I think it's a great addition for all the reasons we just mentioned. Today is Craig Dandridge, Jr., I might add. Craig Dandridge, Jr. out of Cambridge High School. I love this one. I love this football player. I think this might be the most explosive receiver I've ever seen in person.
Really?
To date. At least I can't, in my mind's eye, and we were doing this before the show, there's been better prospects that I've seen at the receiver position. I felt Jermaine Burton was a more solid high school projection than Craig right now. I thought Jeremiah Smith was Julio Jones reincarnated. Could not figure out why everyone else wasn't making the comp. Now they are. I understand it. It's good. This, with the ball in his hands, holy shit, no one's catching that human being. This is the twitchiest human I've seen on a football field. That's the way I feel about him. So I think this is going to go one of two ways. He's either going to be Devontae Smith or he's just going to be a 500-yard receiver. And he's not. And the reason he's going to be a 500-yard receiver and not Devontae Smith is because maybe he doesn't grow into a physical enough receiver to defy the fact that he's 180 pounds. Because he's going to play at 185. He's like 170 right now.
What's his height?
He's like 6 foot.
So you could
6'1".
you theoretically could throw him as a slot for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Devontae plays.
Right.
I think he's not going to be an X. I don't think he's going to be – he
not a
might
Z.
develop into a Z one day and be able to do that. But I think this kid is going to do crazy shit with the ball in his hands. But not like get it to him now, make him a couple guys miss. I'm talking about catch a slant. Holy hell, he's gone 80 already. What the hell happened? I think this kid could be that.
Man.
Do we have tape on him?
We do have tape. We've watched it on this channel before.
Yeah,
you want to watch it again?
Why not?
I can
We'll
pull
watch
it
it
up.
again, and you'll see why. I mean, I'm caught in between Devontae and Henry Ruggs. Because Devontae's not just great after he's a great route runner too. You know? I think Craig probably has a lot of room to grow, but from a holy shit. How did he run away from all those people? And I saw it on tape, but when I saw it in person against Walton, I was like, oh my God.
And I mean, to Georgia's credit, they've done a pretty good job of having slot guys like this. McCole Hardman was this.
Yeah.
Isaiah McKenzie was this. You know,
I just had such a tough time, Kirby, even developing a comp for him that it ended up this slender could be a 1,200-yard receiver guy. The first name that came to mind was Devontae Smith. And don't he look like him?
He looks a little thicker than Devontae Smith, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the body style and the way he moves. Guys, that's walk away from you speed.
Yeah, that's different.
Shout out to White Boy running him down, though. That's good efforts.
It's not a white boy.
It was Johns Creek, bro. Odds are. You know? And his ability to stop. Okay, we'll see that in some of these route running, some of this change of direction stuff, but that's what makes Devontae great too, is the ability to get to top speed and then stop himself and get back to top speed. This is Centennial. You
Was
did
this a
that.
punt? I couldn't.
Yeah, it's a punt return.
Okay.
Lady Cribs.
Is that Centennial or Campbell?
That was Centennial.
Pope. The
I mean,
acceleration is
Jeez.
insane.
Look at that.
Can't even keep up with him.
No. You see what I mean about the comps, though?
Yeah, I mean,
I think the only reason this doesn't work, if it doesn't work, is he can't get off the line. But if we put him in the slot, he's not going to have to. I don't think he's going to have to worry about that.
I think also another thing you have to take into consideration. This is a Kirby Smart system. He's going to have to block a little
Watch
bit.
this one. Watch him go get this ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you hear me though? He's going to have to block a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that going to? Do you think that's something that could keep him off the field potentially, or I don't know how he evaluates that.
I'm going to tell you right now. You know who ain't asking him to block? Cambridge.
Exactly.
Okay, so they getting him to rock 12 times a game. So I don't know, to answer your question. My thoughts tell me 6 foot 175 going to struggle in that extended box. No different than we saw. Like Dominic Lovett was asked to do a lot of this the last couple of years, and you almost worried for him going in there in the box, blocking extended box
I
players.
feel like we're at a point now where you can say it's part of the reason that Anthony Evans never saw the field.
Correct. Well,
There's other things too, but
and just general bust. I think this guy's gonna be special. And just how he ascended throughout the recruiting process, he just keeps getting better every single time. And some of the weight, Kirby, we know this because of how well we do our jobs as reporters, but he broke both of his wrists. I've never heard this happen. Both wrists simultaneously. I think he fell doing track or something and went to brace himself, broke both wrists.
Jeez.
That was going into his junior offseason. So you're 16 going into 17. That's when your testosterone levels are at its highest. That's when you can put mass on at its quickest rates. And he's in double cast. Okay, so that when we go 8 months not being able to bench press, 8 months not being able to put a squat rack on our back fully, like we're not going to gain the weight that we need to. So some of that's going to come a lot quicker than maybe some other guys because you just had that time off. Now, if you crib this, sir, I thought he was going to outrun those angles right there. That would have been stupid. I texted my attempted comp to a Georgia source today, and I said, do you think I'm insane? And the answer basically was, no, I don't think you're insane. I do think you're a little crazy. But if he is that, we going to win a lot of football games.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, it's a good football player, man. Good kid, too. I think dad has some professional athleticism in his background, too. So, yeah, it's a good pedigree there as well. I say right here, Floor is a player who can't be physically big enough to win in the SEC. I think the ceiling is Devontae Smith.
Man.
Yeah. We'll see.
that's a wide range.
That's like
It's a wide
basement of
range.
a hotel to the penthouse.
By the way, I would have said the same exact thing about Devontae Smith coming out of high school. I think the same people said the same thing about Devontae Smith going to the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Some
sure.
bitch won a Heisman, and people said that about him.
For sure.
So I think just not every 5'11", 175-pound guy is going to get that comp, though, because that's juicy tape. It's a little bit different. Got some commitment dates coming up, too. 2 tomorrow. Malachi Lee and Chase Calicut going to make their commitment tomorrow. Giving you some intel on these while we get here, okay? Malachi Lee, I believe tomorrow is going to be committing to Michigan. Okay.
Yeah.
Borderline 5-star, probably should be one.
Probably will be one.
Probably will be one in the 2026 class at the offensive tackle position out of Hawaii. And unfortunately, not going to break records or set history by getting the commitment of Malachi Lee.
You have to keep that article in the drafts, my guy.
Taking the page views out of my.
Yep. That would have been the first player ever signed at the University of Georgia out of Hawaii.
At least by Kirby Smart. I would
least
have had
by
to do
Kirby.
some more digging, but
Might have to call the records department on that one.
yeah.
Don't think they were recruiting Hawaiian football players in the 70s, though.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not to come out to Athens. But no, I think Malachi Lee ends up at Michigan. They do feel really, really good about Chase Calicut, though. I think the biggest threat there was Texas, and we're going to watch his tape in just a second. James Johnson is Saturday, the defensive tackle out of Florida. I think Georgia feels really, really good right there as well. And then P.J. Dean is set to commit Monday, probably before our show.
I would think so.
I think before our show, and I think Georgia feels really, really good there as well. And you're on an insane run right about now. And let's play a game of Are They Dogs today?
Okay.
Are they dogs today? Chase Calicut, yes.
Wolf.
James Johnson, yes. Here's where it gets fun. Tyler Atkinson, Yes.
I would say yes.
I would say yes.
At all the signs. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if he
Wouldn't
wasn't.
be shocked. Worried
but-
about Clemson.
Way to
Worried about
hedge.
Texas. I'm going to say yes. Caden Prothrow, I'm going to say yes. PJ Dean, I'm going to say yes. Tyreek Green, safety out of Buford. Right now, I'm going to say yes.
You got to think about the Buford curse, man.
I know. Well, he spent 2 years at Kel. Does that count?
I know. I'm
Okay.
giving you shit.
I'm going to say yes on Tyreek Green as well. So that would put you at 28 commits. With your only misses in the entire class, per my view, being Mark Bowman, Jackson Cantwell. We're going to count Vance Spafford. Let's count him. That's a miss. Miami stole him.
Yeah.
It was a miss. And then we're going to count Malachi Lee as a miss.
So 4.
So 4. Not a bad year.
Nope.
Not
Not
bad
a
at
bad
all.
year. If that's ultimately what it ends up being. Okay. The only guy in that list that I don't feel 100% certainty on, I don't feel comfortable telling you, is Tyler Atkinson.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them, I feel solid that they're going to end up committing to Georgia.
And again, like we said, we've reiterated. A month and a half ago, we were going down the list and like, how are they getting to 25 this year?
Yeah.
How are they going to sign a top
Might
5
call it
class?
at 24.
Yeah, they might. This might be a year they get 22, 23 with all the rev share stuff. Nope. Same as usual for Kirby Smart.
I think House versus NCAA settlement kind of helped out just a tad bit. I think, at least, remember what I told you about the Elite 11 quarterbacks talking. If quarterbacks are being told there's a cap, there's probably a cap, right? Or at least the players are being told there is one. Not much of a movable one. All right, let's go to the board right quick and watch Chase Callicut's tape. Now, this is a really big, long defensive back, isn't it? This kid's 6'3", I think, like 190 pounds. He's got verifiable track numbers as well. He's a burner. I bet that's him. First of all, is this North Shore High School in Texas?
I believe so.
Yeah, these dudes, okay? These dudes. This is good high school football that we're about to watch right here. That is indeed him. He about to stick somebody.
A great safety name, too.
Oh, rip. Oh, no, you didn't. I was wondering why he didn't murder that man.
Cribbit.
Well, first, I don't think that people understand of how good that play recognition was. Every key on that play was
Play action read.
pointing
He's
to
reading
run.
guards, too. I bet his responsibility is to fill one of these gaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he immediately fills the gap and then immediately recognizes pass, drops back into coverage.
And not only drops into coverage, finds recognition of the route, right? Like most young linebackers are just going to pedal right here, aren't they, Curb? Not take the angle to where we think the route's going to be. Rip.
The strip's incredible.
Yeah,
but the
strips
recognition,
just tremendous football
the
intelligence.
recognition is what stood out to me on that.
Yeah. Man coverage right here looks like off man. Drive down, stick. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ooh, good stomp.
Yeah,
Good
we
sell-
love a double
A
stomp.
good Selly stomp is nice.
Oh, double move right here. They tried to get us, didn't they, twos?
Did not work.
Oh, good job finding the ball. Hell yeah. I love this rep. Didn't bite on the double move. We get back on top.
Get right in the hip
That's
pocket.
perfect phase right there. And then once we get here, we got to find the football. I love that. Hell yeah. And then pirouette again, relocate the football, and get to the sideline. Now we're going to make a play after the catch.
You don't often see speed turns while the ball's in the air.
No, you do not. Can we switch ball in our hand? We didn't. We're a defensive player. That's
Yeah,
okay.
he's defensive.
That's okay. We're
He's got
defensive
good ball
players.
skills.
Hold on
though.
to
We're
it for dear
defensive
life.
players.
Don't need us.
This is the same rep, just a different angle of it. No, it's not. Holy, that's Malachi Starks-esque right there. Running with the slot right there. That's the same play that Malachi made 2 years in a row against Oregon. We're watching it, or 2 years in a row in the 2 out of 3?
Yeah.
Freshman year, junior year.
He did it.
Freshman
in
year,
week-
junior
He
year.
did it in week 1 in the dome.
Yeah. That's tremendous.
You'd have to imagine they want this kid to be star.
I want him to.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about that, though.
Is he too lengthy though?
No. Not when you can turn and run like that. Oh, my God.
Oh, good.
Dude, the late jump right there, guys.
Complete the tip.
Watch how rapidly we get up in the air right here. When we decide we need to jump for this football, boom, and then we're right to its high point.
So this isn't recent, but it gives you some type of knowledge. It says, competed in track and field in middle school, ran a 24.55 200-meter rep as an 8th grader.
That's insane. That 8th grader was.
Little red zone play right there. I love his off-man capabilities. We are a little thin, though. It's all right, though. It's hard not to be thin in high school when you're 6'3", eh?
Yeah, I mean,
6'3", 190 is what he looks
he
like.
looks like he has the frame that can put on another 10 pounds.
You know what I haven't seen yet?
He drives his feet so well on contact.
Period. I haven't seen him get stuck yet.
No.
I haven't seen him get stuck in one movement yet. And we've seen him turn and run. We've seen him turn while running, find the ball, relocate. We've seen him click and drive, right? We've seen him do everything, and I have yet to see him get stuck in one position. He gets himself out of it really, really quickly. Like right there, boom. Gets stuck right out of it, back into phase.
Brother read the flea flicker.
And then almost picks it off on the sideline.
Did you see it? That was a flea
flicker. All right, we're a little heady there. We'd like to see us bring our hips in hands.
Tight-ass uniforms.
Yeah, buddy. Who put that in the game plan this week? You know? Slot fades against North Shore. Dead. Is this him playing corner? Yeah.
He's
so
playing flats there.
This tells me we have a football player, right? In this clip alone, right? In this highlight tape alone, we've seen him play what looks to me a quarters corner right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This guy's probably rolling and bailing. We got too high. We've seen him play quarters corner, right? We've seen him play box safety, okay, against a wing T football team. We've seen him play center field safety. We've seen him come out here and play nickel corner, okay? And now we're seeing him play true corner. That tells me their defensive coordinator's like, hey, what do we need this week? Chase has got it, okay? Drive.
That was a cover 2, it looked like.
Yeah.
Where he sat on that out route, but still.
So patient.
Yeah. And it's not hesitancy in that I don't know what's going on.
It's patience.
It's patience.
Yeah, again, guys, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Why
are you throwing?
Watch the first 2 weeks of high school football. The moment you see him turn around once, put it away. He's 6'3". Put it away. These dum-dums are going to do it too. Nah, he went in.
Why are you throwing that? What the hell?
All right, there was a little bit
That
of
was a
stiffness
little
there.
stiff.
That's the stiffest we've seen on this entire clip right there. He's got some drip to him too. Again, with the field fade shit. Stop it.
On the back of the helmet.
You know who he looks like? Now, Georgia fans are not going to like this because y'all don't think he was very good despite the fact that he's going to live in the NFL for 12 years. He looks like Mark Webb. That's what he looks like to me. Now,
I can see that.
He might be Mark Webb on steroids, you know. Mark Webb might be the equate version of my man right here, but that's good tape.
Very good tape.
It's good tape.
Glad we watched that.
Texas is in on this kid, Hunter, by the way. They haven't just – Hunter said, why isn't Texas all over this kid?
They are.
They are in the mix for that kid.
Yeah. It was going to be Texas for a while, it felt like. So, yeah, there's that. Has there ever been a recruiting run like this?
I feel like we always kind of get one of these summer runs.
It's
from
now.
Georgia.
It's been more concentrated, and it's been more. I feel like just like day after day after day after day after day.
Mm-hmm.
But there is always that time, and it comes after OV season where Georgia gets their OVs in. They have the 2 or 3 weekends where OVs come and go, and then commit. Like I said, it's been much more concentrated this time around, but this is kind of the run that we always see them go on.
The last run I remember like this was actually, and I could be wrong, but I remember Jalen Walker being the 5th commit in 7 days when he committed, and he committed 24 hours after Malachi Starks. That's pretty damn good.
Did they end
run.
up being anything? Like,
Yeah, something.
I can't
They were all right.
I think they were like something round picks in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I don't keep up. with
Might
them.
have won some national awards, actually, if I remember correctly.
A couple.
Might even have a title. I don't
Title
know.
victory.
Yeah, I don't know.
SEC championship.
A
or two.
couple.
Yeah.
Well, they only have one.
Yeah, they
that's
only got one.
Sorry.
They only
Only
have one
one.
national title.
In
dude.
3 years, they
Only
only got
national
one.
title.
Like, come on, jeez.
That's right. But no, I've never seen anything like this. This is what, 7 in 7 days? Something like
It's
that?
like a
Yeah.
week straight of
But
commits.
just boom, 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 boom.
And flips mixed in there.
Yeah.
Like,
My boy Shadarius Tootle.
hey, don't forget about the Vandy kid,
Oh,
Caden
yeah.
Harris.
My man Caden Harris.
Stealing premier prospects from Clark Lee.
That almost feels wrong. Like, let them have one, bro. Like, steal from Miami and USC and Bama, all of them all you want. Vanderbilt? Come on, Kirby.
You think Kirby Smart texts Clark is like, you want him back?
Hey,
Nah.
Just kidding.
Hey,
Sorry.
like, hey, Clark, it's a nice commit you have there. It's I'm gonna take him now.
It's like taking
He's
money from the
mine.
poor.
Yeah, like, I need this more than you, Clark.
We only have 4 DBs committed in the class.
Let's be
all
honest,
top 150.
Clark. If he
Sorry.
goes there, you might win an extra game. We're just saving you the
But
time.
if my starting DB goes down, I might have to tap into my 2 deep.
Clark, honestly, I was just thinking, I was reading over your buyout clause. Just trying to help you out.
You know, next year we have Louisiana Monroe on the schedule, and we're a little bit shaky for the second half. I need Caden Harris on my roster.
It's terrible.
Poor Clark. The rich truly do get richer.
Ain't no doubt. Now, the rich are only rich, according to Brett Bielema, because they cheat.
Oh.
I'm
Yes.
just kidding. He didn't say it like that.
Yeah,
but
I think
he kind of did. I was just trying to transition us, ladies and gentlemen. But he did come with a little bit of that smoke last couple of days.
I was just saying, I feel like this is unfortunate for Brett Bielema because it was very obviously said in passing of like, the question was about the running back room this year, and Bielema did go out of his way to mention, like, yeah, we had someone enter the transfer portal. By the time they entered the portal, within 12 hours, they were on a flight to Georgia. That's really interesting, you know? And that was all he said. It wasn't like he came out and slammed his fist on the desk and was like, Kirby Smart has stolen my roster. They have poached. They have tampered. This is incredibly wrong. I need justice to be prevailed. That wasn't what happened. And you even see that now on social media where he's kind of backpedaling. And he did it in the interview, too, where he said, you know, we had a running back and fled on Georgia in the last 12 hours. But you know what? I'm proud of him for taking advantage of the opportunity, and we wish him nothing but the best. Like, there's no ill will here. I think Brett Bielema was just kind of pointing out, like, hey, something funny went down here.
And nowadays, anytime you rip one of these quotes, there's a company that's going to graphic you real quick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they did.
Real quick.
They did it with Lee Corso.
Oh, they did it with Matt Rule.
Yeah.
They did it with Matt Rule on their own team site that misquoted their own team site.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, like, Thomas Castellanos was taken so out of context.
well, no, that one.
That's not what he
him
said.
being a dum-dum.
Did you actually watch the interview? He didn't say it. Oh, shit. I didn't mean.
Should be noted, everyone tampers.
Yes.
Everyone.
Everyone tampers.
You got a phone, you probably tamper.
For sure.
I got coaches that try to tamper through me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're the tampering vessel?
No, they try.
Oh.
Hey, so-and-so happy over there? Nah, coach, I don't know.
Do you do your due diligence and report them to the
No, I
NCAA
don't
for their crimes?
I don't reply. I do not reply.
I'm
That's obstruction of an investigation.
Coach, just wants you to know I'm telling the NCAA about this. Do you tattle?
Screenshot.
No, I don't. I think he realizes that even based off the comments and how they were actually given, he knows there's nothing that you can do about this.
Yeah.
No.
And he also probably knows he does some of this.
Yeah, I honestly don't think Brett Bielema wants anything done about this. I think
No.
it's just one of those like, hey, you stole one of my players from my roster. I'm going to throw a jab out there just conspicuous enough to where people can go, oh, he's talking about Kirby Smart. I think the unfortunate thing for Brett Bielema is this snowballed into now Brett Bielema's calling out Kirby Smart, and he's tweeting at Georgia fans, and he's accusing the Georgia football of doing all like, one, we all know everyone does this stuff. It's breaking the rules, but at the same time, it's not really a rule if everyone breaks it.
And as we mentioned, I believe it was on Tuesday when we were talking about Xavier Lucas and how Miami's being sued for tampering with him. We believe that, or at least I believe that there is a difference between what Miami might have done in which he was home for holidays and they had him on a so-called dinner, I guess, with a booster while he was still on another roster. That is different than shooting a text message and saying, hey, what you think about this offseason? You want to go somewhere new?
Which we don't know that they did, by the way.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. We don't know.
Yeah,
that
well,
they
this
did
is
that.
all alleged. This is all speculative. We don't even know. Well, we kind of do because he said Georgia, but I mean, there's so much plausible deniability in this, and it's done intentionally for Brett Bielema. Like, if you think anything's going to come of this, I hate to disappoint you. Nothing will.
Oh, he wants nothing to come up.
Yeah, even the lawsuit that Miami has right now, nothing will come of that either.
He did feel enough, though, to getting some Twitter beef.
Yeah, that
with
was
a Georgia
interesting.
fan.
Well, that guy is a known aggregator. But, again, it's news that I don't think is news. It's news that if this happened in September or mid-October, where Brett Leland said this, people are like, yeah, whatever. We don't care. We're worried about actual games right now. So I'm not that concerned with it.
I'm just trying to think of the most historical examples of, that was tampering that has gone against Georgia. 3 come to mind right now.
Oh, gone against Georgia?
Yeah.
I thought you were just saying in general.
Oh, shit, that player just got stole off Georgia's roster out of nowhere.
I can think of one.
I think Riley Leonard is one of the more
Yeah, that
blatant
one was
examples.
blatant, obvious.
Way before the portal.
Jaden Ott was so obvious this year.
Yeah, that one was super obvious.
He was committed to Oklahoma's NIL department before he even officially
yeah.
entered the portal.
Yeah.
The Bama tackle
Caden Proctor. Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice. Iowa tampered and then Bama tampered to get him back.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, A.D. Mitchell's an obvious one.
Yeah.
Brock Vandegrift's an obvious one. Damon Wilson's an obvious one. Like, they're very clear. What?
I'm not gonna do it to you, Jay Will.
Marvin Jones?
Yeah.
It's clear as day.
I don't think Marvin Jones is as much tampering as Dad wanted him to go back and play at Florida State.
Pretty freaking obvious, huh, Kirby?
Oh, shit.
What was that?
Let it be known that on-air predictions on this network, we were 1 for 1 to start.
Like, people putting – like, Bear Alexander wasn't tampered with. Bear
Yeah.
Alexander's a whole nother story.
Bear
that I'll
Alexander
never
was
say on
said,
air.
if you enter the transfer portal, that won't be the worst thing that happens. We will not be upset about this.
Might have been the first potential maybe a first-round pick if he stays here and keeps playing the way he is. You can get out of here.
And then it went from, hey, G-Day's here today. Oh, Bear Alexander isn't playing today.
I remember breaking that news because we were at the Creature Comforts, and I was like, G-Day was going to kick off in like an hour. And I was like, hey, Bear Alexander just hit the portal. I was like, what the fuck? Write that now.
Like, some of these are just wrong. Like, Cade Mays wasn't tampered with. You didn't recruit his brother, so you got mad and left. That's what happened there. You told Cooper no thanks, and they dipped out.
What are you laughing at?
I've got some ops in the chat, dude.
Oh, dude, wait until they find out.
Oh, yeah.
Wait until chat finds out.
I have some personal news to share with you all later in this episode. So.
He's a bum. Would you even be mad if they did tamper?
No. I'd be mad if they weren't tampering. Why are we not doing what everyone else in college football is doing to get good players?
Look, I mean, it's the same thing of before NIL. You don't think Georgia was paying players? If you were one of those people, everybody else can be accused of paying players, but Georgia exempt from that rule completely. Like, come on, man. Everybody's doing it. It's okay. But just do what the NFL does. We got pre-tampering. Or like the pre-tampering.
The legal tampering.
The legal tampering that's not legal. Just call it that. It's legal tampering. That's what it is.
Wheel topics?
Wheel topics.
Let's do it. All right. Go ahead and spin that sucker.
I can't believe this.
What do you got for us?
Is that Name That Bulldog?
It might be crazy, but true.
Crazy but true. During Georgia's 2021 national title season, particularly in the month of November, that would be 4 games, the Bulldogs allowed just 2 offensive touchdowns in the span of 4 games.
This was the national championship
This
year?
was the greatest defense of all time. Crazy but true.
You know what is the greatest defense of all time that never gets talked about?
2019.
Yes.
Well,
Because they got scorched by LSU. But going into that LSU football game, there had not been a defense in college football, or at least Georgia history, that had been that dominant since 1979. They were allowing 10.6 points per game going into that LSU game and gave up, 40?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
They gave up 34. I believe the final score.
It felt like 60.
It did.
Yeah.
That game was. When I saw Tyler Simmons drop that football, I said, we should go home.
That's what it was for you? For me, it was when Joe Burrow was like, oh, hey, Trayvon Walker, I'm going to run away from you. Oh, hey, Richard LeCount, I'm going to run away from you.
Well,
oh, hey,
boom, 65-yard bomb.
Well,
Justin Jefferson, touchdown.
Well, the Tyler Simmons play was the first drive of the game. Georgia actually stopped LSU on the first drive.
Huh.
Georgia
3-3-5 in them.
Georgia held the ball. We were like,
3-3-6 in them.
Had I known any better, I think it would have been the sign, oh, Lewis Seen playing linebacker for us today, huh?
No. It was a 3-2-1-4 is what they were running.
it was.
Yeah.
It didn't work
That should have been
Well, you know why they ran it?
because Auburn had success.
Yeah, Kevin
with it.
Steele gave up 21 points to LSU that year running that. So they were like, oh, let's try it with Lewis.
Well, it didn't go as well.
Didn't go so hot. They threw everything at them that game, though.
Yeah, they did.
Turns out you need some pressure.
All right.
All right. If you're a Georgia fan, would you rather be guaranteed a win over Alabama or Texas this season? Now think of when they come. Texas.
Win everything else.
No, that's you were guaranteed one win. You can pick.
Well, then
Alabama
I have to
or
win the later one.
That's what I was going to say.
I have to win Texas.
But do you not want to beat Bama in Athens this year?
Yeah.
Like,
I bet there's and I say portion, very small. There's a very small portion of the Georgia fan base that would say, I'd take 7-5 as long as we beat Bama by 3 touchdowns.
there's
I said small.
And those
Talk about like 2%.
there's definitely people that would agree.
The 2% chotch portion of this fan base.
Facebook.
Facebook.
The Facebook.
The
people.
The
Facebook
Facebook
people.
dog fan would take 7-5, 21-point win over Alabama at home.
Now, I'm going to say I would this is going to be for some selfish reasons, I guess, but I would say the Alabama game because I'm just picturing that game in Sanford Stadium beating Alabama and what could potentially occur afterwards.
Delicious.
That's enticing.
Man on street going to be popping.
Oh, man, we might not even go home that
Win,
night.
lose, or draw, man.
We'd
on
be
street
out there
gonna be
until the
popping.
next morning.
Should we do Man on Street this year? Chat?
We can. Yeah.
Y'all let me know. I think we should. We didn't do much of it last year.
We did it for the Florida game. We got some good clips.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff. Every once in a while, we'll dust that one off.
Yeah.
It don't bang. It don't bang like it should.
It's like Friday Night Lights. If we get another
You're
Lowndes
right.
versus
Well,
Valdosta,
You need a crazy environment to do. I think the problem we were doing was like Georgia like beat a bunch of shit cans, and then it was like, let's go to downtown Athens. And by that time, like half of the kids were already at the bars for 2 hours before the game ended. So the Alabama one, the Texas one, those would be some.
And
fun
we're
environments.
considerably a larger channel nowadays than we were back then.
For sure.
So that's worth noting. I mean, twice the size, almost 3 times the size.
Twice as nice.
All
What do
right.
we have next?
I don't know, but we better have nostalgic tape loaded up.
I will get it up.
UGA Triv. Come
All
on, give Jonathan a layup. Why don't you?
I had it
Layup?
pulled
What are
up,
you
but it
talking
had the
about?
name, and I didn't want you to see it.
Okay.
All right. UGA trivia. Name the player out of these players that has not changed their number. CJ Allen,
He has changed.
Daniel Harris, Jordan Thomas, Brett Thorson, or Jonell Aguero.
Jordan Thomas.
Jordan Thomas hasn't changed his number. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Jay Will?
Read them off to me again. I was
Oh,
pulling
no,
this
no,
up.
no. Jordan Thomas might be in a different number this year because of Elijah Griffin.
Okay. So the first one was C.J. Allen, who
No,
wore
he's still
number.
wearing 92. It's Jordan Thomas.
C.J. Allen wore 33 at first, and then he switched to number 3. Give me the next name.
Next name, Daniel Harris.
Daniel Harris did switch numbers. I believe he switched numbers following.
He was wearing something goofy. He wasn't wearing 7.
Yeah, after the Orange Bowl next season,
for
right?
the Orange Bowl. He changed to 7, I think.
Okay. I do remember him changing numbers. Okay, next one.
Next one is Jordan Thomas.
Dude, it's year 2 for him. It's got to be him.
Yeah, that's the one I'm leaning towards right now. What's the last one?
Brett Thorson and Jonell Aguero.
Jonell Aguero's always been 8, I feel like.
Thorson's always been 92, hasn't he?
Seems like it.
But we weren't watching Brett Thorson closely.
And
year
like
1.
Brett Thorson
always started?
freshman year, because he was on the roster with Carmada. wasn't
Final
he?
answer, Jordan Thomas for me.
He was on the roster with Carmada, wasn't he?
His first year was 22.
See, this is where it gets a little tricky. But I'm trying to think of somebody that was wearing that number that season. I'm going to say Brett Thorson.
What's the answer?
The answer is Jonell Aguero. Jonell Aguero has been number 8 the entire time that he's on the roster. Brett Thorson wore number 99 initially, changed to 92. Jordan
has
Thomas
not? Okay.
Jordan Thomas has changed his number. He's 97 this year.
Hold on. What the fuck were you doing during that segment?
I thought it was which
Has not changed.
I don't
Has
know.
not changed their number. C.J. Allen has changed number. Daniel Harris wore 50.
I literally said Jonah
I know.
Aguero's been 8 the whole time.
Which is why you should have got the right answer.
I know. Then I got confused.
Jonah Aguero is the one who is not changing.
I got it right. This is bogus.
Daniel Harris wore number 15 his freshman year. Obviously, you got C.J. Allen
What
right.
is Jordan Thomas wearing?
Jordan Thomas is now wearing number 97. He was
Because of
90
Elijah Griffin?
He was 92.
Damn. How much NIL money do you think Elijah Griffin had to give him for that? Does that work in
I
college?
don't
It's
know.
more so
We-
because Warren Brinson left, probably. He won in 97.
yeah.
Warren
Are we
Brinson
at a
got off the
spot
roster.
now where players
That's what I was
players
wondering.
have to pay for new numbers?
That's what I was wondering.
Like who was there a number 1 on offense? No, Trevor Etienne.
Like, let me get a couple of racks. I ain't got to get like $1 million, but let me get like $2,000. Go buy a new moped or something.
All I know is that
They
I
don't
got it
drive
right.
mopeds,
I
yeah.
got it right. That's all I know.
Oh,
Good
boy.
job, Jay. Well, you did it.
Thank you. I earned that one. We do have nostalgia tape now.
You want to make me get back up?
Yes.
All right, I'll get back up.
If you want
Is this
to.
good nostalgia tape?
It is, but
Okay.
are you good?
This is one of the more memorable high school highlight tapes that I have in my lifetime.
Go ahead and hit play so it's going as he walks over because the name is already on the screen. Don't look yet.
There you go. You're good. You're good.
You can look now. It'll be pretty easy to
Oh,
get.
that's Zeus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never going to look like this again.
Unfortunately not.
This high school tape was stupid. I think I did a research like type of article on him when I first covered Georgia. I think he accounted for like 72% of his entire high school's offensive production over 4 years of high school.
Scott High School.
Insane.
Or they were the Scots, I believe.
Yeah. The entire game was just like, is Zeus going to go for 400? Because if so, we might win.
Highly likely.
Oh, good Lord.
I mean, you thought that they were giving Jay Lamar Herschel Walker comps at this time.
How did he get so damn big?
I think he just was
Dude,
that.
I felt like he played at 230 his
think-
entire career at Georgia.
I think they told him, like, hey, you need to lose some weight because your knees can't handle it.
But he's not that big here. He doesn't. He looks Jay Lamar's size on this tape.
Oh, he was big the freshman.
So he was always massive?
He was massive.
So the tape's lying to me right now? Because he doesn't look like the Zamir White that I remember at Georgia. I never saw Zamir White in a Georgia uniform under 230 pounds. I didn't think I did.
he was big at high school. I remember this.
Okay.
Let me find.
You're like a profile or like a – nah, those are thick lowers right there. I see it. I just had to see him in them blue pants. Yeah, them thick lowers.
He was more toned in high school.
Okay. Yeah, bro. What the hell?
I mean, that looks like Herschel Walker.
Whew.
And unfortunately,
Never once the ball in the right hand. Never once. Not on this entire tape have we seen the ball in the correct hand. Okay, here it is. Ball in the outside hand.
Jeez.
it's unfortunate. It's interesting because this is kind of a what could have been that was still a success story. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that rushed for, 700 yards twice
close to it.
during his career at Georgia?
I mean, you got 2 starting years out of him.
Good jump cut
you got
right there.
a national
Good
title.
God.
Oh.
Got a draft. You got an NFL draft selection, but I mean, I think people were always talking about like
What it could have been.
what could have been if he didn't tear
Yeah.
those ACLs. Was it 3 ACL tears
Yeah,
before?
well, no, I think it was 2. I think it was 1 his last year of high school and 1 once he got to Georgia.
But it was the same knee, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And the one on the knee was during a spring game punt special team period.
Oh,
Yeah, it was damn. It was one of those moments where if you, at the time during Georgia football, I bet you were probably criticizing Kirby for playing starters on special teams. And now it's what makes you Georgia football, right? Like that's what you think of. But I wasn't covering the team, but I can almost guarantee you there was a talking head that was like, why in the fuck is our 5-star running back on punt return or punt? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There probably was somebody doing that to Kirby when this happened.
he stuck to his guns though.
Yeah, he did.
All right,
That's great tape.
I've got one more topic for you. You don't have to spin the wheel for this one, but
Yeah, what's up?
this was a question I kind of wondered to myself. So let's say in a hypothetical world, Kirby Smart has pulled off one of the impossibles in recruiting, First off, in this world, obviously, Gunnar Stockton doesn't exist. Ryan Puglisi, but Kirby Smart has 2010 Aaron Murray and 2006 Matthew Stafford on his roster, both in their incoming freshman years. Who wins that quarterback battle?
You're going to think I'm crazy. Probably Murray.
I was going to say the same thing.
Probably Murray, because Stafford would probably turn it over in practice.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Stafford would have been so undeniably more talented.
And, I mean, that's kind of what happened in 2006 to where it was like they just had to eventually put him in. That's why he started games. But, yes, and you look at it, it's kind of like – and Aaron Murray had traits as well when he was at Georgia. Like, he could throw the ball very far, had a great arm, could run the ball decently. I think he was a better athlete than Matthew Stafford. But, obviously, Matthew Stafford has become kind of synonymous with having one of the strongest arms. It will go down in NFL history as one of the strongest passers of all time. So it felt kind of interesting to me, just wondering who would win that quarterback battle.
Who you got? And by the way, I think Murray lost his freshman battle against Mettenberger, didn't he?
No, so he redshirted, and then
because he was going to lose it, right?
No.
Okay,
So-
Mettenberger was already there.
Correct. Well,
Okay.
Mettenberger never started over him. You're thinking of the Joe Cox year, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Cox was a senior that sat behind Stafford. That was like the clear-cut starter when Murray was in.
I
Redshirted.
remember Murray telling me that basically when he got to college, there was he thought he was going to start, but when he got there, he realized there's no way.
Well, it was because that was him and Mettenberger in the 2010 season. Then obviously Zach Mettenberger had
Got
his
trouble.
issue, and that's what ultimately led Aaron Murray to winning the starting job over. So
I think Stafford still win it.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know, dude.
I mean,
If you're taking both of them as a freshman,
18-year-old Matt Stafford probably throwing hella picks
and but
in practice.
if you're taking both of them as a freshman, you're probably just going to say this guy's arm is way more talented.
well, nowadays, if you take both, Aaron was a 5-star, wasn't he?
No.
He's a 4-star, I believe.
High ranking.
The thing that catches
both players would have been expensive.
The thing that catches me up in this hypothetical, though, is that Kirby Smart consistently reiterates, and more so at the quarterback position than ever, whoever puts us in the best situations to win. Traits be damned, skills be damned. If you put us in a better situation to win, I'm putting you in. And he's proven that time and time again. He did it with Stetson over JT, did it with Jake Fromm over Justin Fields. You could argue that he did it over, Brock Vandagriff and stuff like that. Whoever puts you in the best position to win. And I feel like Murray was kind of that. Now, obviously Aaron Murray had some freshman mistakes. That 2010 season was rough at some points. But to your agreement, Matthew Stafford, I do feel like was probably more reckless with the football in 2006. Now,
Definitely.
the talent, undeniable. He's the first number 1 overall pick in 2009 draft. He's had a 16 going on 17-year NFL career. No need to even balk at starting Matthew Stafford. But I feel like in that current moment, judging on Kirby Smart's kind of mentality, Aaron Murray probably gets the start.
Chat's wondering whatever happened to Zach Mettenberger. Zach Mettenberger is the high school head football coach at his alma mater.
Lovely.
yeah.
Go back to
He had
your
a run
roots.
with the Titans.
Shaping young minds.
He did have a little bit of a run with
He
the
had a run with
Titans.
the
Did a little run with the Titans. Also had a run with what appeared to be a UFL or CFL team.
That checks out.
It was definitely not an NFL jersey he was hanging out in. But no, he is shaping young minds.
Played professional football. That's all that matters.
He's the head coach at Father Ryan High School.
All right.
Would you like to break your news, Kirby?
I guess I should share my
Come
personal
on, you
news.
bum!
All right, so I've worked on this show for 2.5 years roughly now. I've written for Brooks for going on 3 years. I feel like I've done a lot of work here with the show, and I'm very proud of it. I've consistently had to fight off the allegations that I do not work, that I'm a bum, and all these things. And that's fine. It's all joking. But I come here before you to announce that for the 3rd year in a row, I have been denied credentials for SEC Media Days. Now, I've already called Kirby Smart personally to notify him that I won't be there. I plan on handwriting letters to Nick Saban, Greg Sankey, Dari Noka, Chris Dorey, anyone else, Greg McElroy, anyone else who will be in Atlanta for this year's event to let them know that I have been unjustly omitted from SEC Media Days and that do not worry to all my fans at home watching right now. This will be rectified. I will have my justice.
You got to get out there in front of the media narrative and the media spin. You got to set and control your own narrative. I like that right there. I just want to let you know that I tried my best, okay? I tried my best through a very properly worded email, okay? Do you want me to read it to you?
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
Redacted.
Starting with is not
I was
great.
just deciding whether or not I wanted to say his name.
Bro's using filler
Redacted.
woods in an email.
Redacted. I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be applying for 2 credentials for Georgia on SI. Christian Kirby and I know space is extremely limited for this event every year, and asking for 2 credentials is a bit much. But if there is any chance you could make it happen, that would be incredible. Christian has been covering Georgia for 3 years now and was credentialed for the Sugar Bowl this year and various regular season games as well in 2024. He's a graduate from the master's program at Georgia's journalism school, and he's more than qualified, but more importantly, he's more than earned the opportunity.
I appreciate it. And look,
No response from Redacted. But guess what? I'm going to pull up on Redacted,
Redacted.
come July 14th.
Redacted,
gonna have to see about me.
let me find out. Redacted. No, I'm not gonna- I'm not making threats on it. I am slightly disappointed in this. No, I'm very disappointed. But you know what? I will continue to cover media days from the comfort of wherever that may be.
So it's over 3 years denied
Oh
for
for
you?
3. Jay Will got.
Don't worry, buddy.
Jay Will got a credential.
Hey.
1 for 3 for me.
Hey, boys, guess what? Took me 3 years to get credentials at Georgia. So, could be worse. You guys got in that door a little bit quicker than I did.
Well,
Someone cracked it open a little bit for us.
Cracked it.
Blew the hinges off the door.
Ran through it.
look.
But I will be there at SEC Media.
Attaboy.
Yeah, Jay Will's going.
Attaboy,
You might
Jay
even see
Will.
me in a suit for the first time.
Who suited and booted. I made a stylistic call, a play call for my boy Jay Will.
What's that?
I got a rule. If you're over 6'5", can't wear a tie. Just don't wear a tie. Wear it tieless.
Interesting.
A tie too damn long on you. Your torso too big. Just looks distracting.
I don't know. Like the NBA players don't look horrible with ties. Sometimes.
Okay, well, if can an NBA player wear it, therefore I can, is the metric.
Well, NBA players are
we-
traditionally tall. Like Jay Will's 6'6".
I know, but they also traditionally drippy. You know?
Oh, he's saying you have no drip now, Jay Will.
I'm just saying there are things that NBA players can wear that both Jonathan and I simply cannot.
This is the new angle I'm going to take. I'm going to get you and Jay Will to fight each other to the point where you say, you know what, Jay Will, you're not going to media days anymore.
Me and this
Kirby
guy?
is. Yeah.
Me and this guy.
I got to pitch you two
Come
against each
on.
other.
Me and this guy arguing?
Buddy.
No.
I'll find a
Not
way.
a chance.
Brooks said you had no drip, by the way.
I don't have drip. I try a little bit,
Man, it's
but
impossible to irritate.
I got video proof, so you can stop that one right there.
Guy's 6'6" and can't even dunk. Can you believe that?
I bet I could yam one down right now.
I got $65. I don't know why 65. I've got $65 says you cannot fresh, no warm up yam sauce.
I might have to make that happen soon.
Oh, we're gonna record it. Just
Okay.
like we had to watch me cold rep 225 out here.
Which, by the way, still on the bar.
still on the bar. still on the bar. And also, I tried the next day. I got underneath the bar, and I told Jack that felt twice as heavy as it did the night before.
Well, you know what they say, the camera takes off 10 pounds.
It's a good joke. It's a good joke. Are we good?
I think we're good.
I'm good. I
concludes the
appreciate you
week.
guys for being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. I love you. Bye.
That's crazy. Jay Will's drip like